Welcome back to the Riverside Convention Center. Here we go. 3x3 head-to-head finals. Everything comes down to this. I'm Michael Rosencrans alongside the 45-time gold medalist, Chris Yen. Chris, 370 competitors started at Western Championship. We are now down to the final 8. Those 8 being Max Park, Dylan Miller, Zarui Cheng, Nancy Liu, Brendan Dunnigan, Koimin Nguyen, Nicolas Sanchez, and Ethan Ye. It is here. What we've been talking about all weekend long, head-to-head finals. I couldn't be more excited.
Me as well. We saw some fireworks in the semifinals of 3x3 with Max getting a 3.85, the fastest solve of the competition thus far. I think I may have done little bit of like a mental commentator's curse because I thought Dylan Miller had secured a first place seed in this final round. He got a 5.64 average, but Max able to pull out with a 5.59 average.
Absolutely. More on that in a moment. Let's send it down to the venue.
With an average of 7.05 seconds in the semifinals, from Southern California, Brendan Dunnigan. In the 4th seed, with an average in the semifinals of 6.78 seconds, your female North American record holder, Nancy Liu. In the 3rd seed, with an average of 6.64 seconds in the semifinals, from Northern California, Zarui Cheng. In your 2nd seed, he was 8th place at the last World Championship, visiting the West from Louisiana, Dylan Miller. And finally, in the 1st seed, he is a 2-time world champion, 11-time North American record holder, 5-time world record holder, your reigning Western champion, Max Park.
All right, so for everyone watching, please get seated. We want to make sure this room is nice and quiet for our competitors to focus. So if you're standing, please find a seat, take a seat.
Well, if a picture says 1,000 words, those are your 8 competitors right there for 3x3 head-to-head finals. We're going to begin with the quarterfinals up first, and it is going to be your standard seeding going into this. So up first, you can expect top-seeded Max Park going against 8th-seeded Ethan Ye, taking you through the rest of the bracket here. 4 versus 5, Nancy Liu versus Brendan Dunnigan. 3 versus 6, Zarui Cheng versus Koimin Nguyen. And 2 versus 7, Dylan Miller versus Nicolas Sanchez. And just to keep you updated on the quarterfinals and the format, here's how we're going to do it. Quarterfinals are going to be best of 3. So the first person to 2 sets is going to be moving on to their spot in the semifinals. Everything except the final matches are going to be best of 3. The finals will be best of 5. Chris, what are you most looking forward to seeing in these head-to-head finals?
Obviously, I'm most looking forward to seeing some fireworks from Max and Dylan, but also for the rest of these competitors, Dylan and Zarui, as far as I'm aware, are the only competitors who have actually competed in this new head-to-head style format so far. So for everybody else, this is going to be a completely new environment, different than any other major championship that we've seen before. And it's something that you can't really practice for, like when you're practicing for most of the head-to-head finals that you can envision at US Nationals or North American Championships. You can kind of simulate the crowd, you can simulate how you're going to be feeling, but you can never actually simulate starting alongside your competitor.
There is a look at your first quarterfinal matchup in 3x3 head-to-head finals. Max Park, Ethan Ye coming up 1 versus 8. As always, going to be simultaneous start for head-to-head. Jacob Marinas, you'll hear him in the background doing the announcing and the officiating for this head-to-head quarterfinals. 4 different quarterfinal matches before we head on to the semifinals.
We'll be playing in sets. Each set.
And here you are up at the top of your screen. Quarterfinals are best of 3. First to 3 solves wins a set. And first to 2 sets is going to be moving on to the semifinals. It's about that time, Chris. You ready to go?
I am. I'm very excited to see how Ethan responds to being quite the underdog here with Max being a two-time world champion.
No doubt. Certainly a David versus Goliath matchup here. Here we go. First inspection of head-to-head quarterfinals. Once again, simultaneous start in these head-to-head finals. First head-to-head final for Max Park. Solid start for him. Ethan a little lucky on the other side. Max going to take the first solve easily with a 575. Ethan with an 873. Max Park out to an early start.
It's a little difficult to see both solves simultaneously going on at once, but at least on the Max's side, he had a pretty favorable last layer there. And of course, the fluidity that we've come to expect from him. So 5.75 is a pretty vanilla solve by Max and basically the worst that you can expect for him. So for Ethan, I'm not exactly sure if he expects to win any solves here. You kind of just hope that maybe the new format can throw Max off a little bit. But for Max, even though he's never competed in one of these head-to-heads, this isn't his first time starting in a fashion like this. He does a lot of relays where the announcer is in the background saying 3, 2, 1, go. So for Max, although the format in an official competition is new, the actual format and the way he's starting the timer is not new to him at all.
Certainly not, and certainly used to these kind of major environments is Max Park, who's trying to claim his 8th consecutive Western Championship title. He's claimed all 7 of them so far. Nobody has dethroned Max Park from the title of Western Champion. That's how dominant he's been.
Are you ready? Set. Begin.
Here we go. Second inspection here. Max Park with an early 1-0 lead in the first set over Ethan Ye, entering as the number 8 seed.
3, 2, 1, go.
Just such quick turning for Max here. Onto the MU moves. A little bit of a fumble. Able to recover nicely with a 657. Ethan with an 821. Max takes the first 2.
You're right. I got a little bit close there with Max. The MU moves at the very end. I think those are maybe his Achilles heel when it comes to last layer, just because for MU moves, he doesn't turn quite as quickly as a lot of other top cubers. But again, the fluidity for the rest of the solve more than makes up for it. And, you know, if he's getting 6.5s, Ethan might have a chance to pull out a win here. But it looks like Ethan's turning is also a little bit shaky. He's probably a little bit nervous being in this final in front of all these people.
Certainly can't blame him at all. It's such a different perspective when you're up there, especially in a major competition where you get up to the solving stage, an elevated stage, I might add, this year at Western Championship, and you look out and you see so many heads and eyes just looking in your direction. Max Park already at set point here in this first set. Remember, first to 2 sets will be moving on to the semifinals, first of 4 quarterfinals matchups. Always, we want to give another big shout out to the delegates working tirelessly this weekend to make this competition run as flawlessly as it can. They've been doing a phenomenal job here all this weekend. So again, a big shout out to the delegates for making this competition run flawlessly. And here we go. Set point for Max Park with a commanding 2-0 lead over Ethan Ye. Let's see if Ethan can get back on this here. But Max, with the way he's solving right now, it's pretty good separation of Ethan so far.
Max is taking a lot of time in between solves to really prepare himself. And even when he's starting the timer, it looks like he's taking a bit of a half-second extra after the announcer says go. It always kind of makes things a little bit easier when you can prep yourself a little bit extra and go at your own pace.
And both delegates ended up taking the cubes back. Wonder if we had an issue with potentially the same scramble being given to Max and Ethan, which presumably in these head-to-head finals, you're going to get the same scrambles anyway, but I should say the same scramble as solve number 2. Ah. So getting official word, the cube cover was actually lifted a little early. So both solvers would be awarded an extra here. Just past the 5 o'clock hour in California here at the Riverside Convention Center. Head-to-head finals for 3x3. And both cubes have been returned to Ethan and Max. Cube cover lifted early, so that's why they were awarded an extra here.
Set. Begin.
Here we go. Inspection on the third solve. Once again, set point for Max Park with an early 2-0 lead over 8-seeded Yay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Max opting for yellow, Ethan opting for white. Good start here for Ethan. Max trying to catch up, able to do so pretty close. Max ends up taking that one. 622, Ethan with a 797. A clean sweep for Max, and he's up 1-0.
Yeah, and it looked like Ethan might have had a chance there. It looked like he got to last layer quite a bit before Max, but not able to pull out a great execution on that G permutation. Once again, it's maybe a little bit more nerve-wracking when you know that you're ahead of your competitor right next to you, and you kind of rush to the end, and it can mess you up.
So far, that was really the only solve of the first set there, Chris, where Ethan might have had a chance there. Both were solving pretty well. Max at one point was a little bit behind. Max able to make up for it pretty well, though. Got to commend Ethan, though, for keeping it close in this third solve.
Yeah, Ethan's putting down some respectable times by his standards. I think we probably didn't expect to fully see his name in the finals just because he came into this as the 15th seed on the psych sheet, but able to pull up with a really good average in the semifinals. So maybe he can ride some of that momentum here and steal a solve from Max.
All it takes is one to try and get a little bit of momentum against your opponent. And again, when you're going up against someone with the caliber of Max, it can make things pretty difficult. But Ethan's standing his ground here so far, despite getting swept in set number 1.
Well, it's a new set, so he can kind of reset his focus a little bit. And, you know, it's always different thinking about trying to get the best single as well. Everybody always practices for averages because that's what you're going to be competing for in the vast majority of your rounds. Always interesting to hear what people's mindsets are when they do need to worry about single more than average. Well, I guess we'll have to ask the competitors after the competition.
Starting to begin set number 2 here in this first of 4 quarterfinals. Max so far with a 1-0 advantage over Ethan Ye.
First of 3 solves wins the set.
Should Max win, he will be moving on to the semifinals coming up a little later in this evening.
Set. Begin.
4th inspection overall. Here we go. Jacob Marinas doing the officiating for this head-to-head final.
Seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Same orientation for both competitors, both opting to solve on white here. Fast turning for Max. Quick last layer. 483 and a 623 for Ethan.
1-0.
Both respectable times, but spine-tingling speed from Max.
It was really close. Ethan pulls out his best time so far. 623 definitely could have pulled it out there. Like you said, they started in the same orientation. And for Max, I could tell that it was a really short solution there. So I imagine it was the same for Ethan as well. But really, really nice stuff from Max there. Short solution and great execution gets you a sub 5.
Max up 1-0 in this second set. Chris, you also competed in head-to-head finals at, I believe it was Duper Super Davis, if I'm not mistaken. So what was it like for you sort of getting experience in the head-to-head finals, looking out at so many spectators and eyes watching you and getting used to the new head-to-head format?
Well, I think it was most difficult to kind of not pay attention to the person right next to me. I mean, we have the split screen going on stream right now, but they are shoulder to shoulder pretty much. And it's really easy to kind of glance over and lose
Are you
focus of your
ready?
own solve and see exactly where your competitor is in their solve.
Set.
That's definitely the hardest
Begin.
part, and something that I think both of them are doing a pretty good job managing so far.
For sure. Solve number 5 in quarters finals coming up here.
3,
Max taking 4
2,
straight over
1,
Ethan.
Go.
And they're off. Ethan solving on white. Max solving on yellow. Just lightning fast turning for Max. On to last layer now. 542, 659 for Ethan. Max is now taken 5 straight, and he is at match point here.
Really great stuff from Ethan here. His turning has cleaned up a lot from the beginning. He was pretty shaky in the beginning, but I think he's gotten used to the environment a little bit. Very good solution there too. But for Max, the solution was even shorter this time, and he finished it off with a ZB. Like Max Park doing ZBs now. So another really, really solid start or solve from Max. And obviously it's going to be hard for Ethan if Max is going to be putting down 5.4s.
Ethan, a lot he can take out of this head-to-head experience, though. Good to see him get a little loose, put down some respectable times for him, and a really good experience overall for Ethan. But he's facing match point here. Max Park is taking the first 5 solves consecutively, and he is well on his way to going on to semifinals. Ethan has to get this one to stay alive.
Yeah, and the competitors now are taking both of their times getting ready for the next solve, especially for
Are you
Ethan,
ready?
knowing that this might be his last solve of the competition.
Set. Begin.
Here we go. Solve number 6 coming up in this first of 4
8
quarterfinals.
seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Both cubers again having the same face up. Max solving on blue. Ethan solving on white. Max on the last layer now. Puts it down calmly with a 601. A 709 to round out for Ethan. Max is moving on to semifinals.
Max with 2 points advances to the semifinals.
Good solving from Ethan. He had a sub 7 mean in those last 3 solves, so great for him because his PR average is 709. And it looks like in this solve especially, actually, he noticed that he might have been on pace to beat Max, and it was just on the last layer where he started to fumble a little bit. But exactly what we've come to expect from Max. Really, really good solving here, and he's moving on to the next round.
Clean sweep for Max. 6 solves to none over Ethan. He's moving on to the semifinals. Good competition overall for Ethan. Good to see him place 8th in this head-to-head format, but unfortunately, he sees his competition come to an end here as he is the first one out in these head-to-head finals. Well, coming up next, we have the second of 4 quarterfinals. That'll be Nancy Liu and Brendan Dunnigan coming up. Let's send it back down to the venue.
Brendan Dunnigan, seed 5. On the left-hand stage, Nancy Liu, seed 4.
And here you go, diving right into the next quarterfinals matchup between Nancy Liu and Brendan Dunnigan.
Each set, first to 3 solves.
Same format rules apply in the quarterfinals. Nancy going up against Brendan Dunnigan.
This is a juggernaut match right here. Nancy's been solving really, really well this competition, and Brendan maybe has the better PR average, but so far in this competition hasn't been performing up to his best. He finished with a 705 average to make this final, while Nancy has had back-to-back rounds of 6.7.
Both PR averages, as Chris mentioned, pretty close to one another. Nancy's PR average, 599, and Brendan's PR average, 563.
Begin.
And off we go. 4 versus 5. Nancy versus Brendan.
8 seconds.
Both known for their really, really quick TPS.
3,
Should be
2,
a fun
1,
quarterfinal here.
Go.
And off we go in the second of 4 quarterfinals, both of them solving on white. What a lucky there for Nancy. Nancy ends up taking that one, 634 to 709.
2-0.
It looks like both of them might have messed up quite a bit in both of their solves, but you can kind of see how they go about getting their TPS differently. Nancy has really, really smooth and controlled turning, while Brendan might be able to turn faster in quick bursts, but there's a little bit more pausing there. And I'm looking at Lucy's right here. Very, very clean solution there. And Brendan just a little bit of a lockup once he got to last layer, and that probably made up the 0.7 difference.
Just that little lockup can cost you precious time. We touch on it time and time again, but this is in head-to-head finals especially. This is where you've really got to be solving at your best. Nancy able to take that one, both putting down some pretty respectable times.
And I wonder for Brendan, who's competed so much this weekend and taken home many titles, if at this point in the competition he's feeling a little bit fatigued.
Begin.
Yeah, you can only wonder now how the fatigue is beginning to set in. Long days of competition, Saturday, Sunday, and of course, wrapping it up today.
3,
fight through everything that they have mentally, fatiguing themselves to try and solve the best they can. Here they go on solve number 2. Great start for Nancy. Quick last layer, puts it down with a 5.95.
Second solve. 2-0.
Brendan taking the first 2.
Once again, really clean turning from Nancy. They actually decide to use different cross colors, but I believe that Dylan has more options technically, but it doesn't help him so much in this case. Nancy actually opts to use the wrong algorithm for that OLL, forcing an end perm, but it doesn't seem to matter because her turning is so fluid and clean.
Just that turning we've come to see and know so well from Nancy, paying off for her here so far. Brendan Dunnigan claimed the Square One Western Championship title just yesterday. Looking to place high in this head-to-head final. He's down early, though, 2-0. Michael Rosencrantz, Chris Yano alongside you. So glad to have you along for this final day of Western Championship 2026. So glad you all could tune in today. We appreciate your support over this competition. We appreciate you watching and hope you all are enjoying this head-to-head final so far. Set point here for Nancy. She's up 2-0 over Brendan Dunnigan.
2, 1, go.
Off they go. Brendan solving on red cross. Nancy solving on white. Brendan a little locky. Finishes F2L a little quicker. Able to put it down with a 702. Soft tap of the timer for Nancy. 868. Brendan's on the board in this quarterfinals.
And this time, having more options seemed to have helped him. He got to last layer much faster than Nancy did. And at that point, it was a little too late for Nancy to make up any lost time. And for Brendan, much cleaner turning here. We saw a lot of lockups in the first couple solves, but ironically, he takes home his first win of this set with the worst time so far.
Could that be the spark that Brendan needs here? That 702. Know he's much more capable of quicker times, especially to his standards, but gotta feel good for him to get that first one on the board. And again, hopefully they can create some momentum here. Nancy been solving good, just has to sort of stay the course here, try to keep herself calm.
Are you ready?
2-1 here in this first set between
Set.
Nancy and Brendan. Once
Begin.
again, set point for Nancy, up 2-1 over Brendan. Dunnigan able to get his first solve on the board
8 seconds.
a few moments ago.
3,
And off we
2,
go for solve number
1,
4
go.
in this quarterfinal. Brendan solving on white, Nancy solving on yellow. Quick turning from Brendan here. Finishes F2 well. Both pretty close.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. Very close to 689 to
And it looks like
714.
won the
Nancy
first
takes the
solve by
first set.
2.3 seconds.
Those are really similar
First
solves,
set
although
goes
they
to
started
Nancy.
on different
3, 2,
colors.
1.
So Nancy's going to take
Now
home
play
the
our
first
second
set. You can see that they both had really good starts. They were pretty much pauseless after their cross and first pair, paused a little bit on the second pair, and both didn't finish with great last layers there. So for Nancy, finishing with the A perm versus Brendan's F perm might have been the difference.
A difference of 0.25 seconds was all that one was. Very, very close, but Nancy takes the first set. She's up 1-0 over Brendan. Everything is reset, but now Brendan in a big hole here has to play catch up.
Yeah, and it's a huge difference to be down the set versus tying that last one 2-2. So big hole to climb out of, like you said, for Brendan, but he's more than capable of doing it. And I think we've still have yet to see the best solving from him for 3x3 this weekend. So now would be a good time to pull it out.
It sure is. There's a time and a place for everything. See if Brendan is
Are you
warm
ready?
now and can get some of those faster times. Nancy up 1-0 over Brendan.
Set. Begin.
See what both competitors can find here.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Brendan solving on white, on yellow rather. Nancy solving on white. Quick turning from Nancy, able to get that one back. 622 to 7 flat. Nancy's up 1-0 in set 2.
And Brendan opting to go for yellow on that solve. I saw that he was doing a really easy X cross there, but it's just not enough because white was also good enough for Nancy. And her turning has been so on point in this match that even with an easier cross and first pair solution, it's not going to matter for Brendan.
A little bit longer of inspection time as well for Nancy, but able to recover nicely and get that solve away from Brendan, up 1-0 in set number 2. Just an early preview coming up for the next quarterfinals matchup. It is going to be Zerui Cheng taking on Koi-Min Wen, 3 versus 6. And the winner of this one will take on Max Park in the semifinals.
Are you ready? Set. Begin.
Nancy's up 1-0, currently up 1 solve to none in set number 2 over Brendan.
3, 2.
Lots of blocks here,
1,
looks to be on
go.
this scramble. Nancy solving on white, Brendan solving on yellow. Brendan, quick turning from him, able to get through it with a
Brendan wins solve number
538,
2.
679 for Nancy. We're tied at 1 solve apiece.
Yeah, and you were right. There were a lot of blocks on white and yellow, and it looks like once again Nancy chooses to go with white while Brendan goes with yellow, and this time it pays off. Brendan takes it a bit further and does some pseudo slotting for his last 2 pairs. Yeah, that's usually going to help you out a little bit, make up some time when you can do that and save time on your last 2 pairs.
It sure did there. Brendan able to take 1 solve in the first set as well. Nancy able to get through that first set 3-1. And once again, it's sort of the same question here with that first solve for Brendan. Can that build a little bit of momentum here? As there's his first 5 so far of this quarterfinals.
Yeah, and you can only imagine that at some point these better starts for Brendan might start stacking up into better continuations like they've been going on the side of Nancy for now.
Are you ready?
Big deep breath for both competitors.
Begin.
And here we go, tied up at 1-1 in this second set. Nancy needs 2 more solves to advance to the semifinals. Brendan trying to play catch up.
2, 1, go.
Same orientation here for both competitors, both solving on white. Fast turning from Nancy, couple of rotations in there. Finishing F2L relatively at the same time, pretty close. Nancy 654,
Nancy
Brendan
wins.
677.
Solve number 3.
Nancy's up 2 to
The
1.
score is 2 to 1.
And Nancy had a pretty big pause on her last pair there. She had to rotate twice in order to spot it. But for Brendan, you can see at the start here, his start takes a lot longer than Nancy's. And I think that was the difference in this solve.
Very, very close margin once again. Separation of 0.23 seconds. So we've seen a separation in solves of 0.25 seconds and now 0.23 seconds between 4th seeded Nancy Liu and 5th seeded Brendan Dunnigan. Match point here in this second set. As a reminder, best of 3 as you see at the top of your screen. First 2 sets moves on to the semifinals. Michael Rosencrantz, Chris Yen with you. Glad to have you along here on the final day of West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2026.
Are you ready? Set. Begin.
And here we go. Brendan has to get this one to stay alive in this one.
8 seconds.
Nancy looking to close it out here and advance to the semifinals to face off against Max Park.
Go.
Once again, same orientation for both competitors, both solving on white cross. Quick turning from Brendan, trying to get through last layer. He does.
Brendan wins solve number
594 to
4.
708.
The set
Brendan
is
is still alive.
And Brendan showing off the ZB there at the end, that saved him a lot of time. It looks like right here, Nancy misses a couple free pairs that she could have gone for. I think we're actually watching a replay of the previous solve, but Nancy missed 2 free pairs there and decided to go for something else. And that might have cost her a lot of time because Brendan's solution was definitely much shorter than hers.
Not only did she miss a couple of those free pairs, Chris, there were a couple rotations in there as well, which again, those rotations are going to cost you precious, precious seconds. So here you go. You're tied up 2 to 2 in this second set. Once again, Brendan has to take this one to stay alive and to be tied in the set total. Nancy has to claim one more solve, and she's going to be playing Max Park in the semifinals.
Are you
Tight
ready?
one here early between the 4th and 5th
Set.
seeds.
Begin.
Let's see what both competitors can find here on this next solve.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
And they're off. Brendan solving on blue. Nancy solving on white. Quick turning here for Brendan. Through F2L on the last layer. Puts it down with a 637.
Brendan wins
Nancy
solve
finishes with an
5.
858.
It is
We are
2 to 2.
tied at
Brendan
1
wins
set.
Number 2. It is now
Nerves of steel for Brendan here. I mean, facing elimination, he gets a high 5 and a low 6, and Nancy unable to put him away. We're going into the tie-breaking set here, and Brendan has all the momentum on his side now. He was down to his last solve twice. Really, really good turning from Brendan there.
That is a huge confidence booster here for Brendan going into this one. We are tied at a set apiece. And we got a tight one here early, Chris, between the 4th and 5th seed Brendan Dunnigan. I mean, when you have close matchups like this, it could really go any way, and you're seeing that right now.
Yeah, we know Brendan is no stranger to these high-pressure situations. He competes in so many major championship finals, and he's taken home so many podiums already this weekend. So maybe this is just another round to him. We can already see those nerves of steel on display. And for Nancy, she's been really consistent this whole competition, but it seems like it kind of fell apart in the last 2 solves when she had a chance to put him away. So we're getting our first glimpse at what she's made out of.
No doubt. One of these competitors is going to be moving on to play against Max Park. Brendan, just a few moments ago, for those just joining us, just tied
Whoever wins this
at 1 set apiece, getting a clutch 637 to 858 for Nancy. We're tied in the set total.
Set.
And again, someone going to be moving on here, and someone will see their competition come to an end.
8 seconds.
What a quarterfinals matchup
3,
this has been.
2, 1.
And here we go. Brendan solving on blue. Nancy solving on yellow. Brendan able to get it done,
And
though,
Brendan
with
wins
a
the first solve. 1-0.
528 to 628 to separation of a second flat. And Brendan's up 1-0 in set number 3.
This is one of the reasons I thought that when Nancy was up 2-1, she really needed to put Brendan away as quickly as possible, because we were asking the question, at what point are these different starts for Brendan really going to add up to better continuations and full solutions for him? And it looks like in the past 3 solves, they've all gone his way. So we're going to see more of that because, of course, Brendan is always going to be color neutral while Nancy is just stuck to white and yellow.
Talk about it a lot in these head-to-head finals. It's really a big game of momentum as well. Brendan with pretty much all the momentum right now. Nancy trying to reclaim it after she had the chance to put Brendan away, but Brendan not going down without a fight, and he is up 1-0 in this third set. Winner will be playing Max Park in the semifinals.
8 seconds.
Very quick inspection
3,
for Brendan. He looks to be
2,
ready to go
1,
already.
go.
And off they go. Brendan once again on blue, Nancy on white. Quick turning here for Brendan. On to last layer now. Little Lockie still able to get it done with a 676 to a 764. Brendan is now 1 solve away from moving on.
Yeah, all the momentum's on his side now. That's 4 straight solves that Brendan's been able to take pretty commandingly. And again, he's doing the different starts. Those starts, he being color neutral, he has more options. And it's so far in these last 4 solves led to better solves overall for him.
What a big moment this would be for Brendan here going into this next solve. Match point coming up here. At once, it was match point for Nancy. Now it is match point for Brendan. Nancy now down 2-0. Has to get this one to stay alive. Brendan, once again, just showing calm composure here in these head-to-head finals. He does not want to see his competition come to an end.
Begin.
What will Nancy have to try and say here, though, as she tries to prevent Brendan from moving on just yet?
8 seconds.
Can she complete a comeback?
3, 2, 1, go.
And they're off. Brendan solving on green. Nancy solving on white. Quick turning for both of them. Nancy finishes up F2L quicker. 643 to 767. Nancy stays alive.
Nancy's showing off a bit of her nerves of steel there. Again, different starts, but this time Nancy's fast and clean turning is able to continue through the whole solve, and she is responding well to being on the verge of elimination here.
Definitely, she is responding well. Very, very quiet in the venue at the Riverside Convention Center, allowing each of these competitors to stay focused, stay locked in, try and put down their best times here. Nancy able to reclaim a solve in this third set. She still trails 2-1, trying to complete the comeback.
Begin.
Brendan looking to put this one away and move on to the semifinals.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Brendan solving on green. Nancy solving on yellow. Nancy through F2L relatively quickly, puts it down with a 688. 761 for Brendan. Both are going to be at match point. Or hold everything here. Do we have an early start from Nancy?
We had a early start, false start.
We did. Oh my goodness. A false start has been called on Nancy. Brendan.
False start is a DNF.
Oh my goodness.
It looks like it
A
was
false-
DNF for Nancy.
A
which means
false
Brendan Dunnigan
start
wins
called
3
on
points, wins
Nancy,
set
which
number 2,
results in
and
a
advances
DNF,
to
and
the
Brendan
semifinals.
is going to be moving on to play Max.
And you knew that with this format that those things are possible. You have to start when the announcer says 3, 2, 1, go. I don't think it was anything weird about the call or anything. He was doing it completely normal. So you really need to stick to that time. And I believe that's the first one I've seen when somebody has truly been penalized for not starting at the correct time. And obviously a really big blow for Nancy because she won that solve on time, but you need to start at the same time.
No doubt. That is a disastrous blow there for Nancy. Brendan going to be moving on to play Max. And tough way for Nancy to go out there, Chris, at the end of that one with that false start. But again, being able to make it to the top 8, she has a lot to be proud of with this competition.
Yeah, and really unfortunate that that was the way that she went out because she was solving really consistently throughout this whole competition. And I was really pleased to see how she was able to respond to being down 2-0 and just throughout this competition getting really good times, even when the scrambles were bad and things like that. So hopefully it's not the last we see of her. She's going to be at a lot more Western Championships, I'm sure. And again, really unfortunate way for her to
So
go.
you just saw the first 2 matches of head-to-head.
Let's send it back down to the venue.
How do you guys feel about this? Woo! We're trying out some new stuff here. We're going to get started with our 3rd match in a little bit.
Looks like we're going to have a quick break in the action to sort of get things reset up here for the 3rd quarterfinals matchup coming up. Let's get you an early preview of that. Zarui Chang against Koi Min Wen. Been an interesting competition for both competitors here this weekend, Chris. Lots of 6-second solves. We've been touching on that all weekend long for Zarui, but Koi has had some really notable results, including making some headway in these most recent final matchups earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, and for Koi, I've been impressed, especially with his 3x3 solving in the last round. He had a pretty awful set of scrambles, and he was still able to pull out a very respectable average. Of course, getting the 10.8 in his last solve probably didn't help. But as well for Zarui, I've been impressed by his consistency. I think we mentioned it earlier, but I think that's been one of the biggest questions about his rise to the top is can he consistently string together good averages competition after competition? And I think he's answered those questions pretty firmly with his performance here. I don't think we've seen a single bad average from him in any of his events so far this competition. And I'm assuming that, he's competed in this head-to-head format before at Duper Super Davis, and he absolutely did not perform the way that he wanted to there. So I'm sure he's looking for vengeance, and the way this competition is going, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it.
Yeah, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder,
All right,
perhaps, from that
we'll now get
performance
started with
in
our 3rd
Duper Super
match
Davis.
of our
Let's set it back down to the venue.
We have our 2nd seed, Dylan Miller. He will join us on the left-hand stage.
Actually going to be seeing Dylan and Nicholas here
In seat
going
number
against
7,
each other
we have Nicholas Sanchez.
here. So not quite Zarui and Koi Min Wen just yet. You're getting your look at 2 versus 7. Dylan Miller against
playing
Nicholas
first
Sanchez.
2
Both
sets.
cubers, not
Each
from the
set,
West. Dylan
first
from
2
Louisiana.
solves.
Nicholas from Georgia. Dylan temporarily making the move back to Simi Valley, California to be ready to go for this competition. Stay relatively close to the venue before he heads back home to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and for Nicholas so far in this competition, also has not been solving up to his 3x3 standards, whereas Dylan in the semifinals is coming off of a blazing 5.64 average. So Nicholas definitely going to be looking to pull off a bit of an upset here. He's got his all-powerful hoodie, hopefully there to help him. And I think, Nicholas has always been somebody who has gotten really good singles, so maybe this format can benefit him.
Are you ready?
2 versus 7. Dylan versus Nicholas. Louisiana versus Georgia. Dylan 21st in the world for 3x3. Nicholas, we know we can put down some good times too, but going up against a tough opponent in Dylan Miller, who's really found his groove in the waning moments of this
3,
competition
2,
in the latter rounds of
1,
3x3.
go.
Off they go. Dylan starting on white, as is Nicholas. Fast turning here to start for Dylan. Finishes F2L relatively quickly. Dylan
And
gets
Dylan
that one
wins
with a
solve number
636
1,
to an 803. Might have been a
1-0.
corner twist as well for Nicholas. Dylan's up 1-0.
You're right. There was a corner twist on the very last pair for Nicholas. He started his hands on the timer really quickly there. I guess he really knew what his start was going to be because I guess it was pretty easy. Dylan actually ended up doing the same start. But yeah, as you can see there, that corner twist. But I don't think it was going to make up the time because Dylan had a really clean solve.
Dylan able to take that first solve, and good to see Dylan always try and keep it loose in these head-to-head formats. Very used to the sort of the head-to-head aspect is Dylan. Both these competitors also competed together back at North American All-Stars back in 2024 at the Mall of America. So the two of them very familiar with each other and getting their shot here once again in a head-to-head format. Dylan up 1-0 early on 7th-seeded Nicolas Sanchez.
Set. Begin.
See what both competitors can find here on this second scramble.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Dylan once again on white, as is Nicholas. Very quick turning for Dylan. Flying through F2L on the last layer. Little Locky still gets it down with a 650. Nicholas with an 827. And Dylan taking 2 straight.
Now 2-0.
Dylan, with his characteristic fast turning, Nicholas is locking up just a little bit, and he has always been a bit of a slower turner when it comes to top 3x3 solving. But you notice that he did a ZB to finish that solve, and maybe that's something that can give him an edge compared to Dylan's solving. But yeah, as you can see in this solve, Dylan was just extremely clean throughout.
Exactly. It can help to have the algorithm knowledge, but again, once you have ZB, which you're able to use by all means, if they have that in their repertoire, go ahead and use it. But especially with so many cases for ZB, it can be tough to recognize which one. And again, that pause to recognize can cost you precious, precious seconds against a competitor like Dylan, who is very, very quick with his turning.
Yeah, and ZB is only one part of the solve. Like guys like Xuanyi who also use ZB aren't the best in the world just because of ZB. Their inspection and their F2L is also the best in the world.
No doubt. Set point here for Dylan. He's up 2-0 over Nicolas Sanchez. Nicolas trying to get back in this one.
Set. Begin.
Dylan looking to get to semifinals, has to win 2 sets in order to do so, on the verge of winning set 1. Quick
3,
inspection time for
2,
Nicholas, but picks back up
1,
the cube
go.
to double check. Same side facing up for both competitors. Big pause in there for Nicholas. Dylan flying through his solution. He'll take this one easily with a 584. Nicholas rounds out his solve with a soft tap of the timer at 1097. A clean sweep for Dylan. He's up 1-9.
Dylan wins 3-0, winning set number 1.
And for Dylan, he also competed in this format already at Duper Super Davis Spring. So we're not seeing the same sort of nerves that we saw from the other competitors who've been doing this for the first time. His turning looks as good as it always does in any other round. Whereas for Nicholas, this is his first time competing in this format. Although, again, just like Max, not the first time he's competed in a style start like this, where you have to wait for the announcer to tell you to go. Although it's still, you can never really prepare for doing it in an actual competition.
Dylan placing it second, I believe, in Duper Super Davis Spring of 2026 in that head-to-head final. We're going to try and get his way to that elusive win in the head-to-head format. But he has Max Park standing in his way. Those are the big 2 names we've been watching throughout this competition. Lots of good solving from the other competitors as well. Nicholas Down
Playing
early,
set
though,
two,
1
first
set.
to three
And once again,
solves.
now he has a big hole to try and climb out of. But Dylan, it's tough to match his turning speed for Nicholas. We know he can put down some good times, but again, going up against a competitor like Dylan with just
Are you
such
ready?
fast turning, it's going to be hard to go against.
Set. Begin.
Both competitors ready to go here in this second set here. Dylan up 1 set to none. Should he
8
take these
seconds.
next 3 solves, he'll be moving on to the semifinals.
3, 2, 1, go.
Both competitors solving on white once again. Quick turning here for Dylan. Nicholas trying to catch up to him. Flying through F2L. Nicholas able to
Nicholas
edge out
wins
Dylan
solve
with a
number 1.
654 to
What is
684.
6.54
A separation
solve
of
to
by
Dylan's
0.3 of a
6.84.
second. Nicholas is on the
The set is
board.
now 1-0 to Nicholas.
Yeah, and I wasn't exactly expecting Nicholas to win that solve because he had a really terrible case for his last pair, but it didn't seem to matter because Dylan took a little bit too long on his last layer there while Nicholas flew through his. So that's the difference, and much better turning there by Nicholas as well.
Good to see Nicholas get on the board here. Once again, can that spark something for Nicholas? Dylan, good to see him with a smile after that one. Very, very close between that first solve of set 2, separation by 0.3 of a second. Dylan, once again, 21st in the world for 3x3 PRA. For Nicholas Sanchez, 617. His PR single is 438. That single was 89th in the world.
Set. Begin.
Nicholas up in set 2 early, 1-0 over Dylan.
8 seconds.
Dylan looking to rebound here. Nicholas
3.
looking to see if that can
2,
spark something here
1,
in this second set.
Go.
Off they go, both solving on yellow. Look at that turning from Dylan. Still keeping on going. Pretty locky, though, on the last layer. Off tap of the timer with a 723. Pretty locky, though, for Nicholas at 874. Dylan's deadlocked this at 1.
The set is now 1-1.
They're both solving on yellow there, but it looked like there was a huge pause by Nicholas in the middle of his F2L, which is kind of going to kill your chances here. I think he might have done a pair that did something, affected other pairs in a way he didn't expect. And so that'll kind of throw away the solve. And for Dylan, a bit of a sloppy last layer there, but he probably knew he was so far ahead that it was he could afford to do that.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about that sort of slow stop of the timer, but well ahead still of Nicholas Dylan. It takes the first solve, the second solve rather, in this second set. He remains up 1-0 overall on Nicholas.
Are you ready?
Big deep breath for
Set.
Dylan on your left-hand side of the
Begin.
screen. See what they can find here on this next scramble. Lots of blue could be potentially
8
working
seconds.
with on this scramble, looks to be.
3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Dylan on yellow. Nicholas on white. Quick turning for Nicholas. Big pause to try and recognize the last layer case. And that costed him there. A 6 flat to 603 by 300ths. Dylan's up 2-1.
For Dylan Miller.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right. The really
The set is
big
now
hesitation when he got to the
2-1
ZB.
for Nicholas.
It's kind of a double-edged sword when you know the ZB because you want to recognize it and actually do the case, but look how long it takes him to recognize there. And during that time, Dylan has all the time in the world to catch up with PLL.
Oh my goodness. Nail biting here in this one. That is the closest separation we've seen thus far by 0.03 of a second. And it looked so promising for Nicholas, but that big hesitation there, recognizing the ZB, just costed him. Dylan able to sneak in front of him and edge out that solve. He's up 2-1, and we've reached match point in this third of 4 quarterfinals matchup. After this one, you'll be seeing number 3 seeded Zerui Cheng taking on number 6 seeded Koi Min Wen.
Are you ready? Set. Begin.
Here we go. Match point for Dylan, up 2-1 in this second set, up overall 1
8
set to none.
seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Same orientation here for both competitors, both solving on yellow. Dylan, a fast start. Nicholas trying to play catch up. Dylan just too fast, a 535. Nicholas finishes it up with a 798. Dylan's moving on to semifinals.
7.98. That is 3 points to 1. Dylan wins set number 2. Dylan wins and advances to the semifinals.
Yeah, really good solving from Dylan there. That solve was really, really short on his solution, even though they were both doing white there. Very, very fast turning from Dylan as always, and they were both doing yellow. But a pretty big blow for Nicolas because
Chance from
he
the
went
crowd
from
here.
potentially being
Championship
tied
sets
2-2
are
in this
playing.
set to now being eliminated, and
We're
his
almost done
competition
playing
is
our
over.
first round of our head-to-head brackets. We'll be playing match 4 in just a second.
There's a look at your bracket, how things have gone so far. So the first semifinals matchup has been decided. Max Park taking on Brendan Dunnigan, and the winner of Zerui Cheng against Koi Min Wen will take on number 2 seeded Dylan Miller going into semifinals. Pretty much chalk so far, Chris, what we've been expecting. 1 and 2 seeds moving on. Brendan Dunnigan taking down number 4 seed Nancy Liu. He plays Max Park as the number 5 seed. I wouldn't necessarily call that an upset. 5-4 matchups, very, very tight. You never know how they're going to go.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised just because Nancy has been solving so consistently this competition. But like you said, I mean, Brendan has done this so many times before in the past, and he's very capable of solving at a very, very high level. In fact, he was technically coming into this competition a higher seed than Nancy, so he's definitely showed that off to come back in that match. And I would expect to see more of that momentum carried on in his match against Max. He's definitely going to need it because Max had no problem getting on to the next round. And we kind of previewed Zuri versus Koi a little bit here. So we're looking forward to seeing that too. For Dylan, good clean solves. I think that's exactly what he expected coming into this first round. He's definitely going to need to keep it up. And I think he's also looking for a bit of vengeance coming off of his
We will
last
now be
head-to-head
playing
final.
match 4. Let us introduce the competitors. In our third seed, we have Zerui Cheng. And in our sixth seed, we have Koi Min Nguyen. In this match, we will be playing first to 2 sets. Each set, first to 3 solves.
All right, and here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Fourth and final quarterfinals matchup coming up between Zerui Cheng and Koi Min Wen. Competition number 50 for Zerui, and has passed 1,500 career solves in the WCA. Koi Min Wen, just his 12th competition overall here. And I believe also this is his debut in the head-to-head format as well. So Zerui able to get experience in the head-to-head format so far, but for Koi, new environment for him, seeing his first look at the head-to-head format.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, Zerui has competed in this format before, but he, by his standards, performed pretty poorly in that he was eliminated before he even had a chance to podium. And maybe that's a double-edged sword because he can have more experience, but if this
Are
is
you
just who he
ready?
is and he doesn't perform well in these head-to-heads, then that would definitely benefit Koi.
Set, begin.
Both competitors in terms of PR singles very close to each other. Zarui with a PR single of 488.
8
Koi Min Wen
seconds.
with a PR single of 482.
3, 2, 1, go.
And off they go. Pretty quick turning to start out here for Koi, trying to recognize the case on the last layer.
Ooh,
Very close,
so close.
732 to 760.
Looks like Zarui
Very
is
close,
number
but
one,
Zarui on the board
7.2
first.
to Koi Min's 7.60.
The last layer took just a little bit too long for Koi there, and that was the difference in this solve. We also see that Zarui is able to solve on cross colors that aren't white and yellow, unlike Koi. And I was going to say that maybe having bad scrambles overall would benefit Koi because we've already seen that he's able to kind of squeeze water out of stone with those bad scrambles. But if Zarui is going to be solving on other cross colors, then that advantage is thrown out the window for him.
No doubt. I thought it was pretty quick, but also some pretty methodical turning for Koi. And I mean, really good to see him get that turning under control here. And again, very, very close for the first solve. Zarui, though, takes an early 1-0 lead over Koi Min Wen. Semifinals coming up after this. We hope you can stick around with us to continue to watch semifinals and decide who will be crowned this year's Western champion.
Set.
Both competitors with a thumbs up. They are ready to go. Separation in the first solve by 0.28 seconds. Very, very
8
close
seconds.
in this final quarterfinals match
3,
of the head-to-head finals.
1, go.
Off they go. Koi solving on white, as is Zarui. Pretty quick turning for Zarui, both on the last layer. Koi able to get that one done with a 596 to 768. We're square at 1.
7.68. The set is 1-1.
And just like we were talking about with the similar starts, this wasn't a good start on white, and they both decided to do white. And in this case, I think it absolutely benefited Koi. It seems like he's able to deal with harder scrambles a little bit better than Zarui is. And so since they started on the same color, that advantage went back to Koi.
Koi right back in this one as the number 6 seed. 1-1 our score here in this first set of the final quarterfinals match. Michael Rosencrans, Chris Yen with you. Glad to have you along as we're approaching the 6 o'clock hour out in California and the 9 o'clock hour in the Eastern time zone. So glad to have you watching West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2026. Been a memorable competition here so far this Memorial Day weekend. In the closing stages of it now with the marquee event.
Are you ready?
Both competitors ready to go with the thumbs up. Big deep breath. And here we go. See what each competitor can find here on this third scramble.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Zarui solving on yellow. Koi solving on white. Big lock up there for Zarui. Koi trying to catch up. He does with a 705 to 744. Koi's up 2-1.
And even with starting different cross colors here, Zarui kind of messes up on his cross there. He loses his spatial awareness there. Also misses the one look last layer there that probably could have saved the solve. A little bit too much hesitation on the last layer, and now Koi's up 2-1 in this set.
Zarui started things off 1-0, and Koi has taken 2 straight over Zarui. And now we're at set point here. Koi Min Wen on the verge of taking the first set over number 3 seeded Zarui Chang. You know Zarui does not want to experience deja vu as he did in Duper Super Davis. Have his competition end early without the chance to vie for a podium.
Yeah, and you just hope that those thoughts aren't kind of creeping into his head as he's losing more solves here than he's expecting.
Pretty close. Third solve there, separation by
Are you ready?
0.39.
Set.
I beg your pardon. Separation there of
8 seconds.
3-8.
3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Both solving. Nope. Koi solving on white. Zarui solving on blue. Quick turning for Koi. Puts it down with a 648. Zarui finishes with an 870. 3 straight from Koi, and he's up 1-0.
8.70. Koi Min wins
And Koi
3-1.
he didn't expect to win that solve. You could tell by his reaction, but really nice smooth turning there through the entire solve. A little bit shaky on the ZB, but just too many mistakes for Zarui in his solution. And now Koi is up big time here. He has a chance to upset the 3 seed.
Yeah, very big reaction as you saw in the replay from Koi. Was pretty surprised that he won that solve, but after being down 1-0 early, he's taken 3 straight over Zarui, and he is up 1-0.
Yeah, and once again, Zarui not getting very characteristic times for him. He got 3 sevens and an 8, which you really don't expect to see from solvers that are vying for sub 6 averages every round. So for Zarui, again, it's a question of if he's able to string together good rounds consistently.
And we know he has the capability to do so. Been seeing a lot of 6-second solves for him throughout this competition. We know he can put down good times like that. I think the nerves and the fatigue starting to catch up to him a little bit here. And I promise you, it's easier said than done to try and get these nerves to calm down when both competitors are looking out at a sea of people, watching them like hawks.
We will now be playing our second set. First to 3 solves wins the set.
Koi Min Wen up 1-0 in set total over Zarui Chang.
Are you
He
ready?
has to dig himself out of a big hole here if he wants to
Set.
stay alive.
Begin.
We are on upset watch here. Koi Min Wen, number 6 seed, on top of right now the number 3 seeded Zarui
8
Chang.
seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
And here they go as we begin set 2. Koi solving on white, Zarui solving on yellow. Quick turning for Zarui onto last layer. Little Locky puts it down with a 685 to a 758. That's a good start for Zarui. He's up 1-0.
7.58.
And that's Zarui's first 6-second solve of the match so far. He's going to need more of those if he wants to put Koi away and climb his way back here. This is also a solve that I wouldn't have expected him to win because we've been saying that Koi deals with bad scrambles better. But in this case, although they did do different starts, I didn't think any of the colors were very good here. And Zarui is still able to pull out a good win. So he's definitely going to need more of those to get back in this.
Exactly. Can that spark something here for Zarui? Koi up 1-0 over Chang. But Zarui has an opportunity here, too, to try and make a comeback here as he tries to advance further in this head-to-head finals. 3 of the 4 have been moving on to semifinals. The winner of this one will be taking on number 2 seeded Dylan Miller.
Are you ready? Set. Begin.
Zarui trying to build momentum and try to keep digging out of that hole.
8 seconds.
Koi trying to get back on the rails here and square
3,
this at 1.
2, 1, go.
Off they go. Koi once again on white, as is Zarui. Quick start for Koi on the last layer now. Very close, putting it down. 664 to 684. Zarui has taken 2 straight in this second set.
6.64 to Koi Min's 6.84.
And this was a much easier scramble on white here. You can see they start from different angles, and actually Zarui decides to go for a start that broke the free red and blue pair there, but it didn't matter because that F2L is so fluid, and a good execution of the last layer is the difference here.
I would imagine, Chris, certainly not the bingo card to try and break a pair that you have there, but again, Zarui able to make up for it with some pretty quick turning, and he's up 2-0 in set 2.
Yeah, and it's not always the best idea to preserve a pair if you have to go too far out of your way to do it. But in that case, it looked pretty easy. I'm not sure if they saw something better there. but clearly it worked out for Zerui, and I believe Koi also did not preserve that pair, so they saw something better than just preserving it, I guess.
Set point now for Zerui.
Are you ready?
He's taking 2 straight over Koi in this
Set.
second set, looking to claw his way back into this. 2 6-second solves in a row for Zerui.
8 seconds.
Can he continue to keep in rhythm here?
2, 1, go.
Same side facing up for both competitors. Zerui on blue, white for Koi. Quick stuff from Zerui, a 530 to a 708, a clean sweep for Zerui. Once again, we're going to a third set.
3-0.
All of a sudden, Zerui's found his groove here. He didn't have a single solve under 7 seconds in the first set, and now all of a sudden he's pulling out a 6, a 6, and a low 5. Really good stuff from Zerui here. You see that he opts to go for blue instead of white, and really quick F2L there. Even with an E-perm, it's still a 5.3.
Great stuff from Zerui. He has found his way back into this match. And once again, we are going to a third set. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. Winner will be moving on to play Dylan. And whoever loses their competition will come to an end. Fireworks here in the quarterfinals. Expected only more in the semifinals and finals matchup coming up in just a few short moments. Chris, for both competitors here, what would you like to see from them and try to do as each of them tries to move on?
I think Koi is at his best when he's not focusing too much on the ZB. In the few solves that he's lost, he's gotten a little bit caught up trying to recognize ZBs or force them when they're not necessarily the best option. So I think if he can avoid that, he can guarantee himself at least 7.5 second solves. And for Zerui, he needs to just remember that he needs to keep up the momentum here because Koi is very capable of getting solves to win.
First 2-3
Zerui
solves wins the set.
certainly has a lot of momentum here. After going up 1-0 in set number 1, Koi took 3 straight from him to win set number 1. Zerui now a clean sweep to take the second set.
Begin.
And we are set for an entertaining third and final set here in the final quarterfinals matchup.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Off they go. Zerui on white, as is Koi. Look at that turning from Zerui on the last layer now. Puts it down with a 678.
Ooh.
And my goodness, a 671 from a Koi.
Koi Min with a 6.71.
Koi able to take that one somehow by 700. He's up 1-0.
0.20.
It looked like Zerui was going to be done with that solve really quickly, but I think on the last pair there, he might have thought he was finished with it and had to backtrack a little bit there. A really big hesitation, and I was very shocked too that Koi is starting from a very interesting angle. I would have started from the angle that Zerui did, and yeah, look at that. Zerui looked like he was going to be done really quickly, but the GC perm, the dreaded GC perm, is what got him here.
That could be a huge first pivotal solve here in this third and final set here in this one. Very close once again. We've seen some tight matches here, Chris, in these quarterfinals.
Yeah, and I can imagine it's only going to get closer and closer as we move on in this bracket. The nerves go up. You start to pay a little more attention to what everybody else is getting.
Are you ready?
No doubt. Both competitors with a thumbs up. They are ready to go here. Koi up 1-0 in this third and final set. Zerui took the second set to tie it up at 1 set apiece.
3.
And once again, he's trying to make a comeback.
1, go.
Off they go. Zerui on yellow. Koi once again on white. Quick turning from Zerui. Little Locky in the last layer. Able to get it down, though, with a 761 to 864. And once again, we're square at 1.
To Koi Min's 8.64.
There's just a lot of moves for Koi on that solve. Bad last layer as well. So For Zerui, not the best time, but also didn't get hit with really bad cases, and so that's enough to win this solve. Maybe starting on yellow was a better decision there, but I know for Koi, he strongly biases towards white.
Yeah, but a lot of white cross to start for Koi. Pretty lucky on that last solve, and we are deadlocked at 1 in set number 3 of this final quarterfinals matchup. Once again, for those just joining us, the winner of this will move on to play against number 2 seeded Dylan Miller. Been relatively all chalk in terms of moving on. In terms of the seeding, you have 1, 2, and Max Park and Dylan Miller, respectively. You also have the 5th seed moving on in Brendan Dunnigan, taking down Nancy Liu.
Are you ready?
And going to be down to, will it be number 3 seeded Zerui or number 6 seeded Koi Min Wen?
8 seconds. 3, 2.
See what each competitor can
1,
find here
go.
on this next scramble. Off they go. Zerui working on red cross, looks to be this time. Koi quickly through F2L on the last layer, very close. A DNF for Koi and a 727 for Zerui. Chang is up 2-1.
7.08, but
That is a huge blow for Koi. He was well ahead in that solve. He got to last layer and PLL much faster than Zerui did, but I think the nerves probably got to him. Look how quickly he finishes the F2L and how
My
quickly he's at the Z
goodness.
firm. But Zerui, he knows that he has a chance to catch up, and Koi, the nerves just gets him. That's a really uncharacteristic mistake to make at this level. He just does way too many moves after his PLL is already completed.
Got a feel for Koi there on that one. Takes a tough DNF on that third solve. What a comeback this would be for Zerui. He would try to make the comeback and complete it from being down 1-0, taking 3 straight in the second set. Koi starting out in his third set, taking the first solve. Zerui's taken 2 straight in this third and final set. Zerui trying to complete the comeback and get the win over Koi.
And Koi needs to make sure that that DNF doesn't get
Are
into
you
his
ready?
head. He needs to focus on this solve.
Set. Begin.
Here we go. Koi has to get this one to stay alive. Zerui, if he takes this one, he's moving on.
3, 2, 1, go.
Koi once again on white, as is Zerui. Look at that turning from Zerui. Quickly on the last layer. Puts it down with a 555 to a 689. Comeback complete. Zerui and Dylan will be facing off.
And it's redemption for Zerui, able to finally come through in a round of this head-to-head format. Amazing solve in his last solve there. Really, really short solution. And again, it's interesting to see that they both do white, but they start from drastically different angles. And this time it benefits Zerui. His solution looked a lot shorter there.
Incredible solving all competition long from Koi Min Wen. Got a feel for him, though, with that DNF. Just too much to overcome in this one. And here's a look at your bracket for semifinals. We are now down to 4. Max Park going against Brendan Dunnigan. Zerui Chang going against Dylan Miller. Chris, what an entertaining quarterfinals matchup that was.
Yeah, a lot of things that went unexpectedly. Koi taking the set from Zerui, but Zerui coming all the way back. It looked like he was dead to rights. He was not solving well at all in that first set, but he comes back and is able to put down times that we come to expect from Zerui. And I'm glad to see he's able to redeem himself from his performance in previous head-to-head formats.
No doubt, Zerui stays alive, and once again, mostly chalk. 1, 2, 3, and 5 are your seedings. Moving on to semifinals. That's going to be coming up in just a few short moments. That's going to be it from me for the commentary for this competition. Always such a pleasure to talk to you, Chris, and the rest of the casters. Great to be back on this weekend. Thank you all so much for having me, but I will take off the headset for the night, and I will turn things over to our very own Manu Singhal, who will take you home with Chris Yen through semifinals and finals. Don't go anywhere. Our coverage of West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2026 returns right after this. Rosencrantz, if you care about speed cubing, you have got to check out SpeedCubers Digest. SpeedCubers Digest delivers the weekly news that defines competitive cubing, competition previews, full recaps, athlete storylines, and everything happening across the global scene all in one place. It's built by people who compete, organize, and cover the sport firsthand, so you're getting real insight into what actually matters. Support the sport and stay informed. Find it all at SpeedCubersDigest.com.
Are going ahead with our semifinal matches here at the Western Championship 2026. It is Manu Singhal on the mic with my good friend once again, Chris Yen. Chris, it's been a dynamic head-to-head final so far. The second one we've held here in the West Coast, and this one has not disappointed.
Not at all. We saw a bit of an upset in the first round already with Brendan Dunnigan, the 5 seed, taking his matchup over the 4 seed Nancy Liu. It was a really strong performance from Brendan after it seemed like he was dead in the water. He was down 2-1 and not solving at his best, and he comes all the way back to take 2 straight sets to move on. And again, with Zerui Cheng that we just saw in the first round, it looked like he was dead to rights, like he was getting 8-second solves, which is not what we come to expect from Zerui. And then all of a sudden he's getting 6-second solves, low 5-second solves, and he's able to take his matchup from Koiman Wen.
Yeah, I mean, just super exciting stuff, and we got 4 more matches coming up for you. We're just about ready to get started with the announcements of the names. We'll come down here to the venue shortly. I'm actually probably going to end up quieting my mic a little bit, so I'll adjust that to make sure that we're all good here, because I don't want to leak any information to anyone. Don't want to give anyone a fair or unfair disadvantage. That is a fair disadvantage. I don't know what that even means. In any case, yeah, we're just on some standby. Lucas, can you get the shot? Shout out Lucas, by the way. We haven't shouted him out during the live production. He's like literally solo manning this thing, which is kind of insane. So like every like awesome thing that's being done in production is all Lucas Aubin. So everyone in the comments, applause for we love Lucas. Something hype for my guy Lucas Aubin.
Shout out Lucas.
Cool. I think we're basically ready to go. Yeah, we're ready to go. So let's bring it down to the venue for Mr. Chris Martin to do the competitor introductions for our semifinal matches.
All right, everyone, we are going to be moving on to our semifinals for our head-to-head. Are you all ready? I can't hear you. Are you all ready? All right, everyone, I am going to be calling up our winners from our first and second matches from this head-to-head finals. Our winner from match 1 of our head-to-head, Max Park. Going up against Max will be our winner from match 2, Brendan Dunnigan. Both of these boys are SoCal natives, so it will be SoCal versus SoCal.
All right, thank you, Chris, for
We're going
the
to give a minute for
introduction.
our delegates / referees.
Oh, he's
to
going to
be in their
introduce the
positions.
delegates. I'll let him do that.
How are y'all doing today? Did you guys like this competition so far? Show of applause. Who's ready for this amazing semifinal matchup? Who's hyped to see Brendan? Who's hyped to see Max? Who's hyped to see these delegates? Because we're all waiting for this match to start. All right, for these semifinals, the rules will be the same as our top 8 matches. First competitor to get 3 solves will win the set. You need to win 2 sets to make it to the finals. The person who does not advance to the finals from this match will be moving on to our 3rd place match, which will happen after the other semifinals after this one. With that being said, competitors, are you ready? Set, begin.
All right, and here we go. We are off to the races in our first semifinal. Max Park versus Brendan Dunnigan,
8 seconds.
2 SoCal superstars.
3,
Let's see what they can bring
2,
here. Max
1,
on the left side of
go.
the screen, Brendan on the right-hand side of your screen. Both color-neutral solvers, too, picking 2 different colors here. Blue and, oh, wow, a really close one. It seems 623
Max Park
for
just
Max
barely beating
and
out
668
Brendan with
for
a
Bendy.
6.23. Max takes on the first solve in the set. 2 more, and he wins the set.
Yeah, it's almost fitting that these 2 are the ones that are matching up here. They're kind of the titans of the West Coast in terms of the title count. Of course, Max has won every single Western champion title since the conception of this competition. And Brendan, in terms of total Western champion titles, probably has taken home the most because of all the other events that he does. And for Brendan, I think he definitely has a chance to pull this out with the way he was solving in the first round. Although, of course, Max is Max. There's a reason he's won every single one of these. So it's going to be a tall task for Brendan no matter what.
Oh, yeah, Max is going to do Max things. I mean, we saw him earlier today get a lightning fast 3.85 second solve, his 2nd ever sub-4. We could see some magic out here again. Max is known for being a very consistent solver, which goes both ways in this head-to-head. He's good on bad scrambles, but if he gets a really good scramble, sometimes he might not be able to take advantage of it. So we'll see which Max Park we get here. Up 1-0 and against Brendan Dunnigan. As you heard Chris say, it is 2 sets required to win the match and advance to the final. On chalk, it would be Max as the favorite, but you never know. Bendy is he's a cool guy. He can pull some lightning out of a bottle, so to speak.
8 seconds. 3,
Looks like
2,
Max decided his
1,
orientation fairly quickly. Bendy, on the other hand, kind of looking around. Orange is his choice. His turning is looking pretty good here. Yeah, nice and fluid. A very close one, but Max is just going to edge him out 6:02 to 6.29.
6.02 versus 6.29.
And right there, I thought that Bendy was going to have a chance because Max had a pretty big lockup on his start here. You'll see it right here. Before he inserts that last crossface, he gets a big lockup, but it's still not enough for Bendy. And not a bad solve for Bendy by any means, but he's going to need to pull out something a little bit better than that because Max, his bad solves are pretty good still.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would have thought that. I mean, look, Bendy's keeping it close. And that's all that really matters. It's not a best of one set. So he actually has a chance to. He's going to get a chance against Max here, which is huge. I mean, to have a chance at all against Max is massive, right? because in a traditional round, you just
All
aren't
right, we are
afforded
going
that
to
luxury.
start with solve number 3. Competitors, are you ready?
Competitors just getting set, making sure they're all ready to go.
Set. Begin. 8 seconds. 3.
Okay, Bendy looks
2,
like he was
1,
pretty solid on
go.
his orientation, picked it reasonably quickly. His turning is really, really fast and looks like he's improving quite a bit. But Max, wow, a great solution from him. 5.03 just blows
Max
Bendy out of the water here.
getting that third solve. Max will take on that first set.
Yeah, and it looked like it might have been a PLL skip for Max, possibly. Gonna have to see on the replay. But for Bendy, he's actually solving at his best he has this entire competition, but it's not really enough. And yeah, you can see Max with the really easy 2-flip OLL into a PLL skip. So that's basically gonna guarantee a win here when you skip that many moves. But for Bendy, again, solving really, really well by his standards for this competition.
All right, a little bit more hype from the audience. How
Unfortunately,
many
it
of you are
hasn't been
ready
enough.
for North American champs in Raleigh in 2
Yeah,
months?
so Chris, tell me a little bit about, so in this head-to-head, right, like you competed in the head-to-head as well. How different did it feel from a traditional round? You were talking about like against Max, you just never have a chance in a traditional round, but here in a head-to-head, you might have a chance. I mean, that said, he just blanked Bendy 3-0. So talk a little bit about the differences from a competitive standpoint.
I think it depends on your solving style. So for somebody like me, I'm a little bit more consistent. Like I'll never get really, really good averages, but I'll also never get really, really bad averages. So on a single to single basis, I may not be getting the times I need to actually beat people in terms of single. And I think that can be a double-edged sword. You know, we always say that if you know you're going to get the same time every time, it can put pressure on the other competitor to have to beat that every time. But also knowing that you're never going to get anything better than that is never really a good thing when single is all that matters.
Yep. Definitely a different type of mind game, which is kind of interesting. It's interesting to see the WCA adopt this type of stuff.
Also, I'm not used to being shoulder to shoulder with my competitor either.
Yeah, that is a big difference. You go to your like national finals, and you know, you got your own separate table sometimes, or at least certainly sat a little further away. All right, speaking about setting and sitting, set number 2. Max is up 1 set to none. If
3,
he wins one more set, he will advance to the final.
1, go.
And Bendy, being the resilient guy he is, he was down 1 set to 0 against Nancy in the quarterfinals. But yeah, too resilient, wouldn't go down without a fight. Max here, the draws first
Park
blood.
taking it swiftly with a 5.83 second solve.
Yeah, and it looked like Bendy might have had a chance there, but he had a horrendous last layer, and that's really not what you need when you're trying to beat somebody who's technically above your level. So, yeah, look, we've seen this OLO a lot. That honestly might be the worst last layer that you could possibly ask for. And for Max, he had a pretty average last layer, so not good enough for Bendy. But now he has a fresh set and kind of can reset everything here.
Yeah, I mean He's got 2 more solves. Now, the good news for Bendy is that he does have the 3rd place match. So even if he loses here, he does have a chance to go ahead in the 3rd place match. Actually, the winner of this match is the winner of this match guaranteed to be the Western champion? No, actually, because Zarui could still win on the other side of the bracket.
All of them are great choices.
It's almost a shame, though, that I feel like throughout this competition, Brendan and Max have always been the 1 and the 2, but the way that the matchups have worked here, that's guaranteed not to happen, because whoever loses this is going to be 3rd at best.
Right. Yeah, you only get 1 chance against your opponent's a single elimination bracket. So yeah, so Bendy's lives kind of dwindling on this side if he wants to stay in it, punch a ticket to the finals. Kind of starts now. Down 1-0 can still come out of this.
1, go.
But only 2 lives left for Bendy. How will he make use of them? Looks a little bit locky. And meanwhile, Max going through it. Oh, wow, 1/100th of a second.
Oh my!
He lost by 1/100th of a second. Max Park, Brendan Dunnigan down to the wire.
That's definitely the closest finish that we've had so far.
Max Park
0.01,
takes
less than
it with a
0.01 seconds.
5.76
Wow.
second solve.
Wow. I was looking at Bendy the whole time, and I thought he was on good pace, and just quickly looked over to Max and realized like Max's turning just looked so good. What do you see here on the replay?
Yeah, I mean, Max's turning is as good as it always is. It's that little tiny hesitation on the ZV
incredible-
Yeah.
that it makes up that
incredible
difference, probably more than 0.01.
Solve
But
between the both of them.
yeah, that is a really big blow for Brendan because I think he had that solve.
Yeah. I mean, what an expression. I guess, yeah, he opting to go for what looked like to me 9-mover into a cancellation on
No
the
matter what
U-perm.
happens at the end of this
And yeah, you're right.
bracket
that
here, these
hesitation
two
was
are still SoCal
the
hometown
difference
heroes.
maker.
So
2-0, one more
once
solve for
again
Max,
for
and
the
he
two
will
of
punch
them.
his ticket into the finals. Pretty impressive for Max, honestly. He hasn't really competed in a lot of head-to-head tourneys, so it must be a
Competitors,
very
are you
different
ready?
environment for him. Of course, Max having his condition not the same for him as it is for everyone else to adjust. So, but I mean, just incredible solving from him.
Set, begin.
Ready, set, begin. 3 famous words which could seal Bendy's
seconds.
fate in this side of the bracket. Will he
3,
get dropped down to the third place,
2,
or does he still have life in
1,
him?
Go.
Let's watch the solve to find out. Orange cross and blue cross are the choice. Good turning from Bendy, but just not efficient enough, it seems. Yeah, 6, 7, 8 to 7, 23. Max Park
And
advances
Max Park
in a straight
takes the
sets.
solve, takes the set, and takes the match.
Unfortunately,
big
there,
round of
Brendan
applause
had a
for
good chance
our
with the
semifinal
6.7
matches,
from
Brendan
Max,
and Max.
but it looked like it was just a
Brendan will be
bad
moving on
scramble.
to
He
our
wasn't
third
quite
place
able to
match,
squeeze
but
out a good
Max
enough
is moving
solution,
on
even though
to
he was
our
doing a
grand
different cross
final.
color. So for Brendan, he still has a chance to come in third in 3x3 here. And for Max, he moves on to the finals to
All right, as we get
once
ourselves
again
ready for
defends his
our next
title as
semifinal matches.
Western
You're all having a
champion.
good time.
Yeah.
We hear it.
I mean, it's just fantastic stuff from Max, what we've come to expect. The man is just so resilient. His solutions, at least in the past, were known to be extremely simple. It's that simplicity that's kind of carried him to this point in his cubing career, which has been a fantastic career spanning almost over a decade of just pure excellence, and he's continuing it here. He's guaranteed a top 2 finish here at the Western Championship. And if Dylan wins this match, he's actually guaranteed to be the Western champion, regardless of how he finishes in the final.
Yeah, and for Max, even though this is his first time competing in a WCA head-to-head, he's competed a lot in other head-to-heads, most notably like at Western or at US Nationals 2019 when I competed with him in the Regions Relay for the Western region. He's also competed in the Nations Cup, I believe, at World Championships, where it's the same sort of style format of start where you have to wait for an announcer to tell you when to begin your solve. So Max definitely has a lot of experience when it comes to starts like this.
Certainly.
All ready?
All right, let's go to the other side of the semifinal. Dylan versus Zeri.
All
Let's
right,
send it to
everyone,
Chris Martin.
Our winner of our match 3 set. He was a resident of SoCal for a little bit, but he has moved to Louisiana. Dylan Miller. Going up against Dylan will be our winner of the 4th match, a NorCal resident, Zeri Chang. This match right here will determine, will it be a West versus South match, or will it be West versus West?
Certainly, we would be hoping for West versus West, but of course, it's very hard to root against the incredible
All right,
solver
let's
that
hear
is
some applause.
Dylan
Who thinks
Miller.
Zeri will take this match?
Good amount of crowd support for Zeri, kind of the hometown kid to some extent.
Who thinks Dylan will take this match?
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
good amount of support for Dylan too. I mean, as Chris said, he was here in SoCal
As
for
an unbiased announcer, I will
like
say
8 or
those
so
applause
months.
were
so
even.
Yeah, it's pretty close in terms of the applause. I mean, if you're Zeri, you just got to be juiced that you're
We will be
here
starting the
at this
solve
stage. I mean,
competitors. Are
he's
you
such
ready?
he's such an up and coming solver, and he's so young. He has so much room to grow as well. I mean, he's got bright things in his future, regardless of what happens here at Westerns.
Yeah, and in Dylan's own words, he is North America's kind of last hope to
Set.
climb the world rankings here.
Begin.
And we're gonna see a little bit of that on display.
8
Now,
seconds.
Zarui, a color neutral solver. Dylan is a white
3,
only solver.
2, 1.
Or sorry,
Begin.
white yellow solver. Excuse me. And yeah, here you see that play out immediately. Zarui looks like he got lost in the sauce a little bit. Really big pause. Dylan on last layer. This is gonna be wrapped up. Ooh, closer than I would have expected. 702 to 716.
Dylan taking that nail-biting first solve. 7.02 versus 7.16.
Yeah, really, really close there. You see Dylan uses a lot of F moves in his F2L. That's very unique for him as his solving style. And he also turns extremely quickly and cleanly. Kind of a big pause in the beginning of his cross there, or after he solved his cross. So maybe that's how it ended up being so close, but able to turn cleanly through the rest of that solve. And he barely squeaks out the win there.
I mean, both competitors just like looking at each other, and they're both like, "Man, this solve was so bad. I bet I lost this one." And then they're like, "Yeah," looking at each other like, "Ah, whatever." They're gonna bring their A game for the next one, though, certainly.
Yeah, this is a matchup that I think we were expecting to see at Duper Super Davis Spring the last time
Right.
when both of these competitors were in these head-to-head finals. Unfortunately, Zarui wasn't able to pull it out, so I'm sure he's stoked to finally be here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, when I interviewed him, he was disappointed that he didn't even get a chance to win a match, and now he made it into the semifinal. So, again, he's got to feel good about himself. He's got many, many, many years of excellent speed cubing ahead of him.
Start.
Dylan with the advantage here, 702, 716.
3,
Both solves
2,
for both solvers not
1,
very good. Same
go.
orientation. I think yellow cross is the choice. It is indeed the choice for both of them. Nice fast solving coming out from Dylan. And he had corners solved, so pretty solid solution. And he wins this one,
Dylan taking the
542
once
to
again
614.
with a 5.42 second solve.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it didn't look like a very good beginning. Like, this scramble doesn't look that great from first glance, but a really short final solution for Dylan there. Really clean execution too of this OLL. Very hard to do under pressure since it's a lot of lefty moves. And he decides to use the RU Z-perm instead. Seems a little bit more reliable for him. Dylan, no stranger to using like interesting algorithms that are more reliable for him specifically. And that was the difference maker there.
So we've seen kind of both competitors kind of shoot their shot a little bit. I mean, 614 from Zuri is like actually not that bad considering, you know, like his overall speed. Only recently did he get his first sub 6 average, 5.89. That was at Duper Super Davis, actually.
All right.
So yeah, 614, not too bad. You got to feel okay about that. It's just so tough going up against Dylan. I mean, Chris, you've done it before. And yeah, what is that like?
Yeah, well, Zuri's definitely faring better than I was. I was not solving up to my A game when I needed to against Dylan. So it's always a little bit more pressure when you know you're going against somebody like Dylan or Max's caliber, trying to, you know, do more than you actually can, and that ends up backfiring.
3, 2.
Certainly a bit of pressure. Again, same orientation. Perhaps the same starting solution for both competitors, but it looks like Dylan is just turning through it a lot better. Actually, Zarui put the cube down first. Dylan with a +2. So Zarui actually won it outright, 566 to 801.
5.66 second solve.
Yeah, I was looking at Dylan's solve too, and it looked like it was going pretty smoothly. There may have been like one small pause in the middle of that, but clearly Zarui found something else in his solution because Dylan did that pretty flawlessly. I mean, even it looks like there was a bit of a lockup, and yeah, Zarui just had a more efficient F2L, and the OLL skip is definitely going to help there. So
Yep, there you go.
he takes his first solve of the set.
This is why we got Lucas on the replay so that we can catch the things that we can't see in real time. It's really, really, really difficult to see both solvers and kind of analyze both their solutions. So yeah, awesome that we have the slow-mo replay where we can dissect and analyze everything. I mean, yeah, I mean, OLL skip into A perm, you can't really ask for a much better last layer than that other than J perm or a skip.
Yeah, but for Zarui, if that's what he needs to win these solves, he might need to pick up his F2L just a little bit because he can't rely on getting PL or OLL skips in the rest of his solves.
Well, for what it's worth, Dylan did +2 that. I mean, clearly it didn't end up mattering. But, you know, another +2 could, I mean, it would dramatically shift the balance in this set.
Start.
2-1 in the favor of Dylan Miller. It is his second set point, another chance to close out this set. And then he would need one more to advance to the final against Max Park. Loser of this one will face Brendan Dunnigan in the third place match. Zuri green cross this time. Nice turning from him. Looks like he won this one. He won this one really handily, actually. 5:19, a fantastic solve. That's his fastest solve of Western so far.
5.19.
Yeah, and there we can see some of the benefits of solving on different colors. He must have had something there that was better than whatever Dylan could find on white and yellow. Just a shorter overall solution. Like the turning seemed pretty fine on both ends, but when you're saving up to 10 moves, then it's going to make a huge difference.
Looks like Dylan was looking to swap cubes. He is known to kind of do that a little bit. This is a weird 4 solves for him so far. 702, 542. I mean, that's a bit normal. 801, 768. So he's also going to need to pick it up a little bit. He can't be getting 7s against someone like Zuri.
Someone just asked me who I want to win. In my opinion, we're all winners here.
Chris Martin doing some crowd work while we get the cubes scrambled. The scramblers are doing a good job. They're getting these cubes out fast.
We're moving on to our 5th solve of the set. Competitors, are you ready?
Dylan taking his classic extra breath. Has served him very well. 8th place at the World Championship last year after all. 2nd highest placing American.
Set. Start.
And this is a winner-take-all solve for the set. So maybe not quite winner-take-all. Winner-take-set solve. Zaruri, after being down 2-0, has clawed his way back into this with 2 5s. He was telling me earlier that he really wanted to, he hasn't gotten a 5 all comp. And what a time to get one. That's not a 5, but that'll do. 6-1-1, and he takes a set off of the great Dylan Miller. He's up 1-0.
And it's white versus yellow here. Dylan, we're not used to seeing that many lockups and kind of sloppy turning from him. And for Zarui, I mean, great execution throughout the entire solve there. And for him, I mean, it's a tale of 2 halves here. I mean, he was solving pretty terribly by his standards when he first got into the head-to-head, and you were wondering if this is kind of the performance that we should expect from Zarui, like not performing up to his standards in these head-to-heads. But he has certainly put those narratives to rest here. He's been on fire ever since that first set he dropped.
Do you think he he's kind of feeding off of the energy a little bit, like kind of that he was able to take 1 off of Dylan, right? 5-6-6. Take another one off Dylan with an incredible 5-1-4 or 5-1-9. And then now he's got the 3rd one, and he's like a whole set ahead. Well, if you were Zuri, how do you think you would feel?
Well, I'm wondering if he, since he did so poorly in his last head-to-head, if he's just completely changed.
Right now,
on going into
competitors,
head-to-head,
are you
and
ready?
it's worked so far. So I wonder if he's tapped into something here that he didn't have last time.
He's more mature, dude. That's what it is.
He's a month and a half more mature for sure. It's a lot bigger percentage of his lifespan for him than it is for Dylan. So.
Good point. Good point.
Start.
You learn a lot in a month, don't you? So yeah, with the set advantage is Zarui Cheng. We are
8
starting
seconds.
the 2nd set now. Dylan is behind
3,
on sets,
2,
but he's been in this
1,
spot before
go.
and has clutched out the win. Great solvers, both of these two. We're in for a treat. Nice fast turning from Zuri. He's won 4 in a row. 3 of those 4
Zuri
being
starting
5-second
strong
solves.
with a 6.2, 5.21
Yeah, and he's just getting
solve.
low 5s now. If it's going to be really tough, even for Dylan to pull out wins here, if Zarui's just going to be getting low 5s. His turning is absolutely flawless. He's not locking up a single bit. And for Dylan, it just looks like it's a little bit sloppy on his solutions. And that's going to be the difference here. You can't really expect to be beating low 5s.
So
I'm doing this once
the
just for the kids.
topic was,
Zuri
you know, like the
beats
main
Dylan.
focus we were all thinking was going to be Dylan versus Max, right? The conversation has completely shifted here. Now, of course, it's not it's not over for Dylan by any means, but I mean, does this come as a shock to you as well, Chris?
It doesn't come so much as a shock to me, but I was definitely questioning like Zerui's ability to consistently put together good times. He's done
Competitors,
it
are
this
you
entire
ready?
competition so far. After that first set he's dropped, he's done it since then too. And kind of full circle moment if he's able to make it to the finals, because it's going to be West versus West at that point.
3,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, set, start.
Yeah, this is like the biggest stage of his life. So, and he is doing quite well.
8
Like I said,
seconds.
he's a very bright future ahead of him.
3,
He's got
2,
orange on the bottom here.
1,
Slightly
go.
different orientations for the competitors. He got lost in the sauce. Dylan is going to win this one. Shouldn't be a problem for him.
Dylan's already tied it up. 5.78 versus 9.27.
For Dylan, it's a good recovery. For Zerui, you just kind of got to put it behind you and feed into the momentum you got in the other solves. I think you're right, Manu. He probably got a little bit lost in his own head with maybe a bit of a fancy solution. But those mistakes can happen sometimes. You just need to limit them in situations like this when single matters so much.
It's always a tough ask to try and outdo your opponent. So often in speed cubing, we use average of 5 metric. You know, you're trying to beat yourself, and of course that's beautiful in its own way. But it's a pretty dramatic shift for some of the competitors. And you know, even though these guys
Solve
have done
3 will
head-to-head
now commence
before,
soon. Competitors,
trying to
are you
shift that
ready?
after doing an entire weekend of like average of 5s certainly can't be easy.
Yeah, I know it wasn't easy for me when I was doing the head-to-head.
Set tied
Start.
at 1 point apiece for Miller and Cheng. The difference here is Zerui has the 1 set
8
lead.
seconds. 3, 2,
So Dylan is
1,
down to his
go.
last 2 lives on this side of the bracket. Oh, and he is fighting for it. Look at that turning from Dylan. Didn't look like a fantastic last layer in
Dylan
terms of
takes it with a
cases, but it's good
6.17
enough.
second
6.17, and he's up 2-1 against Zerui set point.
And Zerui just a little bit slower on his start here as opposed to the 5s that he was putting down right there. Just a little bit of a lockup and a little bit of a hesitation going into his
While those
first
cubes
pair.
are getting
Whereas
solved, I would
Dylan,
like to give
the
a quick
small
shout out
lockup
to the
came at the
parents
end
in
with
the
the
room.
last layer,
Parents,
which
you
in
are
my
the big
opinion
reason
is less of
why
a
most of
deal
these competitors
than
are
doing
here.
it at the
Give
start of your
yourselves a round
solve.
of applause.
Yeah, that so I was actually mistaken. Looks like he had T-Perm. Obviously, T-Perm is a fantastic case. The OLL
Competitors, if you
not
came
being
with a
the
10
best,
or a
but
family
you know
member,
it
give
gets
them
the
a
job
round of
done at
applause
the end of the
too.
day, which is really what matters. Now, Chris, put me in the mind of Dylan Miller a little bit. Like, how do you come back from losing a set that you weren't supposed to lose, and now like the conversation is kind of shifting a little bit around you? How do you get your head back in the game?
Well, I know for Dylan, he's won so many of these head-to-head things that like I would need to tap back into that confidence that I've built up so many times. You can't let that like fall apart on you so easily just because you lost a set that you weren't supposed to lose.
Set,
So for
start.
Dylan, that confidence I'm sure is there always, no matter what. So he just needs to tap into that every single time.
8 seconds.
Getting a little fancy with our graphics operation.
3,
nice little fade
2,
in for
1,
solve number 4
go.
of set number 2. An important solve for Dylan, and yeah, it looks like he knows it. He's turning quite well. Yeah, he looks like he's wrapped this up. That is the Dylan Miller that we know and love. 546. He is back in this
And
tied up 1 set to
Dylan
1.
takes that solve. He
That was
wins
perfect
the set with a
execution there on that
5.46
GC perm. We
second
see it
solve.
so often that the
Sets are now
GC
tied
perm,
1-1.
the
We will go on
notorious
to a
GC
third
perm
set.
can derail such a good pace solve, but Dylan not letting that happen here at all. That might have been like the cleanest GC perm I've ever seen done in competition under such high pressure. So great job from Dylan to come back in this set, and now we're going into a tiebreaker.
He is known as the blue-collar cube scholar, and part of that means coming down. It comes down to not alg knowledge, but rather alg execution. Good stuff from Dylan. I mean, you can see that he puts hours and hours of grind in for stuff like this. At the end of the day, yeah, your solutions need to be good, but you also need to execute the solutions that you know how to do, even if they aren't necessarily fancy, right? That's a big reason why Max is sitting pretty in the final. He's awaiting the winner of this match because his simple solutions, but he just knows how to execute them without locking up.
Is going out. Competitors.
So we're into
are
the
you
decider,
ready?
the third set. We've seen a lot of deciding third sets. That means that these matches are really close, and that's what we want to see. Nice little drama, good reset from Dylan. Winner take all set now.
Set. Start.
Once again, the extra little beat from Dylan. Oh, that free pair? That is a free pair.
8 seconds.
Looks like Dylan is not going to use that one. Zarui
3,
doesn't look like he will
2,
use that one
1,
either.
Go.
Looking at a different solution. Both competitors choosing yellow cross. Oh, Dylan looks like he's awoken a little bit. Zarui might have awoken the beast. Wow,
Dylan
that is the
takes his
fastest
first
solve to lose, I
solve
think.
with
4-7-1 to
4.71 versus
5-3-7.
5.37.
Yeah, you're right. That is the fastest solve. I would not expect to be losing a solve that's 5.3, but like you said, it looks like there's a block on white and a free pair,
All right,
but
competitors,
sometimes
show of
having too
applause.
many
How many of you
options
did
like
on
that can
this
confuse you and is a little bit more risky. So they decide to just opt for yellow instead. And for Dylan, yeah, that's a really, really clean solve. It's for Zarui as well. This is gonna come down to the wire if they're both solving like that.
So Dylan will draw first blood in the decider set.
Next solve is
Once
going out.
again, the winner of this one will face Max Park in the grand finals. The loser of this one will
Competitors,
still
are
have a
you
chance
ready?
to win a medal and win some cash. The cash for the podium provided by SpeedCubeShop.
Honestly, the way that both of these competitors are solving, I think they might have a chance against Max in the finals.
Start.
And that is a huge statement in and of itself. Max has been, it's taken. He hasn't been solving for a while too, so
8
maybe
seconds.
he's a little bit cold. But
3,
we're getting ahead of
2,
ourselves a little bit.
1.
Both competitors
Go.
using a lot of their inspection time. Good, we like to see that. Ooh, looks like Dylan got lost here a little bit, and Zarui is going to put the cube down first. Yeah, and he's going to win by about
Zuri takes the
2/10
second
of a
solve,
second.
6.59 versus
Yeah, it was just a little too much hesitation
6.87.
throughout the solve
I can
by
read.
Dylan, not as fluid as we saw in the other solve. Really long cross solution as well. Yeah, you can just see too many moves here, and that's going to cost him.
All right, going back
So
to
even on a
unofficial
solve where
solves, we
Zarui
took a
isn't
vote,
getting his best
and
time,
competitors
he's
alike
still pulling out a
3x3 with
win.
upside down glasses. How many of
So
you
check this
did
out. We
3x3
are at ones all around. One set to one set, and in the final set, one solve to one solve. I mean, it's a dead heat, Chris. And, I keep going back to it, but did you expect this to be this close?
No, I didn't. Honestly, the way Zarui's been solving, I would have expected him to just take all the sets outright. But Dylan's responded in a really great fashion. But coming into this match, I also wouldn't have expected this because Dylan is such a pro when it comes to these kinds of head-to-head things. Also, really good singles coming from him as well. So, very, very surprised to see this, but I'm not complaining whatsoever.
Hey, look, more speed cubing for us. I will take that for breakfast,
Set.
lunch, and
Start.
dinner. So this is a huge solve number 3 in the match. Whoever wins this one has 2
8 seconds.
match points to give, and it's
3,
a huge amount of
2,
confidence
1.
for them.
Go.
So it looks like we're going to get different colors here. White for Dylan, and it will be red for Zarui. Zarui's in the lead here from this solve, from what I can tell. And yes, he's going to take this one 6-8 to 6-7-0.
Taking the advantage again. 6.28
And even with the notorious
versus
GC perm, Zarui does
6.79.
not execute it extremely well at all, but the rest of his solve was so much better than Dylan's that it doesn't really matter. He reaches last layer much faster. He
All right,
also has a
wild
6-move
card
ol
question. How
out
many of
there,
you
so
competitors
There you
did
go.
luck
each
has also
puzzle
been
at
on
the
Zarui's
unofficial?
side.
There you go. Look, getting lucky is not a crime in
How many of
any
you want
way,
to
shape, or
see
form.
15 puzzles next year?
Love the audience work Chris is doing, kind of keeping the audience in it. It's a fairly large audience. I mean, this is probably the biggest audience we've ever had for a Western Championship, which is awesome. Awesome to see. great community here in SoCal. Very, very happy to be here in Riverside for our regional championship, the largest one ever, the largest competition ever held in California, actually. Wish you were here, Chris.
Yeah, largest competition, and I still couldn't get on time for registration.
Better luck next year, buddy.
Do you think they're going to announce the location at the end of this competition?
I can tell you the answer is no. We need
Okay.
to, we're going to cook on it a little bit. All right. Well, we're still here in 2026 at the Riverside Convention Center. This is the Western Championship. 2 solves to 1. Zarui Chang. If he wins this solve, he advances to the final against Max Park. Oh, Pilo. It's going to be close. And it's Zarui Chang at the end of the day. 6.12. He advances 2 sets to 1 over Dylan Miller.
We're going to have West versus West in the finals. Absolutely unexpected, but amazing solving by Zarui after he started so horribly with that, dropping that first set in the first round. And ever since then, it's been absolutely smooth sailing for him. This time, the GC perm, he's able to execute it flawlessly, puts it away. And for Zarui, what a redemption story. Being knocked out in the first round of his last head-to-head format, and now he's going to the finals for a chance to compete for the Western title.
How was that for a match? Did you all enjoy that one?
What a match. I mean, just fantastic stuff from Zarui. You know, he just didn't have, he just never said quit, right? Hung in the match. He was down. He was down in set 1. He was down 2-0 in set 1. He was going to lose that set. Won 3 solves in a row, a reverse sweep. Wow, just amazing stuff. He's going to advance to the final. We're going to see him later. But coming up next, we're going to have our 3rd place match. Look, we love Dylan Miller. You're going to get to see a little bit more of Dylan Miller. And you know who else we love? We love Brendan Dunnigan. We're going to see 2 of my favorite solvers, honestly. This is great. I have the best seat in the house, I got to say.
Yeah, you have a much better seat than I do. I'm beholden to whatever Lucas is putting on the screen here. So,
well, you're lucky that Lucas knows what he's doing. So, all right, let's announce the 3rd place match contestants. Now, there is prize money at stake here. It's still going to be best of 3 sets. So we'll see. The winner of this one will win a cash prize. The loser gets nothing. So there are real stakes. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see. Now, interestingly, for Bendy, actually, there's no additional stakes. There's just the 3rd place, the podium. There's no worry about like a Western champion title or anything. So I wonder if we'll see a little free-flowing Bendy now that he's been. Maybe we'll see a Bendy unleashed, so to speak.
It seems like it doesn't seem to matter. Even when he was losing his sets, he was still being bendy as usual. So I'm sure we'll see more of that. And also for him, he's secured so many Western, not titles, but maybe runner-ups, a lot of Western titles as well, like with Square One, and everything like that. Maybe 3x3 is just the consolation for him at this point.
Speak of the devil, here he is. Brendan Dunnigan. He's going to be taking the right-hand side seat.
His dad is cool.
And popping back into the same spot is going to be the Bayou boy, Dylan Miller.
From NorCal, my other son, Zarui Chang.
What? Nah.
I mean Dylan Miller.
Oh no.
Let's try that again.
A little bit
from
of
Louisiana,
a little bit of a mishap. There we go. Dylan Miller.
Interestingly here too, Dylan is the higher seed and he didn't get to choose his seat. I think that's the first time. I don't know if that's really a difference to any of these guys. It seems like they're pretty free-flowing here, but hey, maybe not getting to choose the side you want to solve on can throw you off.
See, the piece of paper on here says that Brendan is at the bottom and Zarui is at the bottom. That's my excuse. I'm going for it.
Sure, whatever you say, Chris. Oh boy. Yeah, so here we go. Here's the 3rd place match. I kind of just want to see them just go all out. Like, again, there are stakes, yes. I mean, cash is a pretty good motivator. Right. But I want to see them just throw darts. I want to see 4s. I want to see a 3. I want to see a 3. We did get to see 1-3 from Max earlier, but I'm greedy. I haven't had enough. I need more 3s, and if these guys certainly have the capability to do so.
They both absolutely have the capability to do so. It's pretty hard to try and get a good single, but the way both of them were solving, even though they were eliminated from
8
the
seconds.
top bracket, I think we can see some fireworks here.
3, 2, 1, go.
Now Bendy, another color neutral solver. So that's a little bit of a difference between them. 5.49 to 5.83.
Dylan takes the first solve. 5.49 versus 5.83.
I think it was a pretty short solution there for Dylan. You can see he took a little bit of an extra time to get started there, and I think that's why it might have seemed closer than it actually
All right,
was.
show of
But
applause.
really
Who
nice
thinks
last layer there for
Brendan can
Dylan.
take this match?
Well, I mean, that's already a pretty good start. That's better than some of the solves that that they were throwing out earlier.
Miller from Louisiana can take this match.
Like to hear the crowd get involved. Chris is doing a good job with that. Felt kind of even.
Of course, Dylan is a very prominent personality in the community, so he's going to garner a lot of support. And Brendan, kind of being in his like home turf in SoCal, a lot of his friends are probably there as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I said it on my interview I did with him. It feels like the entire area of SoCal, literally all of it, is yeah, literally all of it is his fan. Apologies, I didn't quite update the graphic, but we are indeed on to solve number 2. It's 1-0. Dylan Miller is favored here. Interesting, Y2 from Dylan, but he got to last layer super quickly. 5:03, great solve from him. 8:61 because of the +2 for Bendy, but it won't really matter. He goes up 2-0. Does Dilly?
Dylan flew through that solve. Again, a T-perm to finish for him. He's executing it really well. Just really clean solution here on white. You're right. He did do a Y2, but then, I mean, that is a pretty flawless last layer there. He did sledgehammer into his soon and then T-perm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really good stuff from Dylan.
Yeah, U2 T-perm, no additional AUF is very nice. We like T-perm. Despite me claiming previously that T-perm was a bad alg. Hey, tell me this, Chris. What do you think of these overheads? You know, kind of going for a little bit over the shoulder angle. You feel like your recognition is a little bit better here?
Yeah, and I think it's also a little bit more reliable. You know, sometimes people like to drape over the cube when they solve it, but this time it's pretty easy to see everything that's going on. You can get a little bit more of a like at least you see 3 sides of the cube, where sometimes maybe you can only see 2. So, really nice stuff here.
Yeah, I've been pleased with it recently. I'm glad we tried it.
Set. Start.
So this match has started the same way as the previous one. Dylan Miller up 2-0. The only difference is who is sitting in the other
8
seat.
seconds.
This time it's Brendan Dunnigan.
3,
Can he get a
2,
reverse sweep
1,
against
go.
the Raging Cajun? Will Dilly put this one away and take a set? Looks like he almost fumbled it. 667 to 787. We got a lot of sevens going on here, but a win is a win is a win.
Yeah, once again, Dylan turning really well through that solve, except for the Olo. Big fumble there, or excuse me, not the Olo. I believe it was the H-perm. Yeah, right here. So the Olo going into the PLO was not the greatest there, but able to get the 6.67. I think they're just solving a little bit more freely right now because a lot of the pressure is off.
Right. Yeah, which is good. I mean, we want to see that. These guys like, or at least, you know, Dylan, huge personality. Bendy loves to play into the crowd. He loves the crowd, and the crowd loves him. So it's always really fun. I mean, just look at him. He's just a goofball, man.
Yeah, surprisingly, he didn't pull out his Triple T hoodie that he was rocking yesterday too.
Dude, why does everyone know what these like weird memes are? Like, what kind of era of speed? Do I need to retire or something? Like, am I like this way too old for speed cubing now? What is happening?
No, I think it actually might benefit your mental health if you don't know about any of it. So,
hey, I'll take your word for it. I will take your word for it, my friend. Cube's coming out now. We're going to go ahead with the first solves of set number 2. of this third place
All
match.
right, we are getting ready to start our next set.
Remember that the next match after
Competitors,
this one
are
is
you
going to be the
ready?
grand final. The winner of that match will become the Western champion, Max Park and Zuri Chang. We'll preview that a little bit later. For now,
Set,
let's keep our eyes on the
start.
prize. Back to the match, as they say in Melee. Part of this definitely is coming down to what kind of cross
3,
Brendan is going to
2,
pick. Dylan can
1,
inspect a little bit
go.
further because he only has 2 cross colors to look at, whereas Brendan has to choose his cross color first. It didn't looks like a good solve for Dilly, 576. I mean, he's shaking his head, but
Oh boy.
I mean, pretty good
Dylan
solve
takes
regardless.
the first solve, 5.76.
Yeah, and he did well there to
versus
do the OLL for that case that
6.78.
gave him the better PLL. If he were to do the alternate out for that case, he would have gotten the dreaded GC perm. So really good stuff from Dylan here. He's been solving at his best in this round. Also, Brendan getting a good, getting a nice 6.7 there, but unfortunately not enough to pull out a win.
At this point, I think he's just farming. He's farming the 6-7s. Not sure if I approve of this strategy.
Yeah, well, in the previous rounds, I thought a 6.7 would have been good enough for him to win, but I
Right.
guess not.
Oh no, he's going up against an elite solver, top 25 in the world, ranked 21, I believe, is Dylan Miller with
are
his
you ready?
5.21 PR average. Many no slouch, of course. 563 personal record average is solidly in the top 100 at that. Advantage Dylan Miller though,
Set,
both in sets
Start.
and in solves in the set. And yeah, there's that color
8
neutrality
seconds.
versus dual difference that you can kind of
3,
see here.
2,
Dylan was able to pick his
1,
orientation much
go.
faster than Bendy. Yellow cross, a great pickup from him. Kind of fumbled a little bit on what looked to me like F12-2. 8 mover of an OLL into a G perm, not fantastic. Bad solves from both of them, but Dylan will
Dylan
take the
absolutely
advantage
sweeping,
2-0.
getting- No.
Oh,
It's a +2.
+2.
It's a +2.
Oh, can we go to the top down? Is that
Takes
really?
it from behind,
It is a
8.18
+2.
versus
Wow. Okay. Well, we're tied up.
Brendan, with his worst solve of the match so far, is going to take that.
That's certainly amusing.
Not exactly sure what happened there. I think it looked pretty smooth sailing for Dylan, like he was going to walk to that victory, but clearly just didn't feel the need to do his last turn, I guess.
Not the first +2 that Dylan has pulled out in this match. Although this is the first time it has cost him. Tied up 1-1. Oh man, I just love the way Bendy interacts with the crowd. Oh man, they're having
Number
fun.
3 in the set.
It's good to see.
Competitors, are you ready?
I will mention also, personal record single is at play here. Even though you cannot set
Set.
a personal record average,
Start.
we could see one of these solvers get a crazy single. If Bendy got a 3, that would be his personal record. Dylan with
8
362
seconds.
would have to beat that in order to update his
3,
PR.
2, 1, go.
Doesn't necessarily look like a solve or a scramble. We'll see that in great turning from Dylan. I mean, just so fast. T into an A perm, a 590 to 6. Oh man, it's a 6-7.
Why do you sound
Dylan takes
disappointed?
the solve.
Oh man. At this point, Chris isn't even announcing the.
6.74.
I mean, hey, look, Chris is disappointed too. Oh
All
man.
right. Show of applause if you think this kid's doing this on purpose.
For legal reasons, this is a joke. Anyway, it is match point for Dylan Miller, 2 solves to 1 in this second set of the third place match. Winning this one will put him onto the overall podium. Bendy, of course, already clinching the overall podium by advancing into the semifinal. 3 Western competitors and 1 non-Western competitor means that, yeah, all Western competitors automatically clinched the podium, which is really exciting.
And for Bendy, just the icing on the cake on a really great performance this whole weekend.
Start.
Taking home a lot of titles.
Yeah, and I mean, if you hadn't heard the name Brendan Dunnigan before, after this weekend, you might be sick of hearing of him.
8 seconds. 3,
But of course, you're not a real
2,
one in
1,
that case.
go.
White cross the choice for both of them, although different solutions started off differently. Bendy still got a bit of fight in him. He's showing 6-12 to 6-4-7. We're tied up 2-2 here.
Brendan ties up the set.
Okay, maybe we were talking a little bit too much about wrapping up here. If Bendy can come back in this set, then we're going to have another tiebreaker. Really nice turning here on white. Goes straight into an EOZB, like one that I wouldn't necessarily recommend because he would have had
Weird.
his corners solved on the Olo there. But I mean, it looked like he was planning that from the get-go, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Brendan was talking about how, you know, he had considered just like, you know, like learning ZBL, and it's like, okay, well, maybe it is certainly a lot as a kid who's in school, right? He has other responsibilities as well. Can't just grind algs all day, but good to see, you know, EOZB works out for him there.
Solve of the sets. Competitors, are you ready?
Definitely think we're going to see a lot more of EOZB in the future before, you know, I think the future is, we're talking 20XX, making another Melee reference. I think the future is all ZB.
I think the transition from just straight CFOP to full ZB is going to be very, very prevalent. I actually, for those of you watching that take my advice for anything, I don't recommend EOZB very much at all. I think you should just go straight for ZB.
Go.
There you go. Some wise words from Chris Yen on the broadcast today. Some free coaching for you all, if you so will. That's it. That will be the match. A fist pump from both competitors. 578 to 6.47. There is another 6-7 in there once again. But it will be the end of Bendy's 6.47. And Brendan, fourth place for Brendan Dunnigan. Third place for Dylan Miller. Let's watch the medal clinching solve.
Yeah, and Dylan's solving on yellow, but Bendy decided to go for blue this time. And for Dylan, really, really good turning throughout this entire bracket, especially on the solve in order to clinch 5.78. That's a good time for Dylan. He solved really well in this bracket. Maybe just didn't string the singles together at the times he needed to, but really good solves nonetheless.
Yeah, you got to feel for Dylan a little bit, you know, like third place, like not really where he wanted to end up. Last year at Westerns, of course, he was aiming to just, win the whole thing outright, and ultimately did not make it onto the podium. At least he managed to do that this year, grab his, fair share of the cash prize pool. Third place, yeah, I mean, it looks, in a head-to-head, it's going to kind of always, like, be a little bit of a mixed bag sometimes, right? It's a singles event. There's high volatility. And so you kind of have to expect that going in. Now, the fashion in which, Dylan was knocked into that third place match was indeed fantastic. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that in the final match upcoming. Chris, this is the last match of the evening. Oh, and I'll also mention this one, first to 3 sets wins this match. So this one is the only one that is extended a little bit further, the grand finals.
Yeah, and that just means Zurui needs to keep that momentum going for a little bit longer this time. The way he's been solving, I hope he hasn't cooled down at all from sitting through that third place match. And for Dylan, I think just like a little bit unfortunate with the seating there because he was solving really, really well. It just so happened he was on the side of the bracket where Zurui was, and Zurui turned it up when he needed to. And we'll see if he's able to pull off a major upset here. I mean, like we mentioned, Max has won the Western title every single year that this competition has been held. Since its conception, I think it's been 8 titles for Max. We'll see if the master, so to speak, is ready to hand off the torch to the apprentice, or if Max is still very much at the top.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It could be a little bit of a handing of the torch ceremony, or Max could say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to hold on to this myself for just a little bit longer. I mean, he wasn't so eager to give up that 7x7 single world record now, was he? For those who you don't know, on Saturday, the day we were not streaming, of course, Max 7x7 finals, 7x7 single world record. He had it. He lost it for 2 weeks, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually gonna take that back from you. Sorry, Lim." All right, let's take it to Chris Martin to announce our 2 finalists in the grand finals. And yeah, let's get set.
It
Get your
is
popcorn.
a
We actually have
tried
popcorn
and
here in the
true
venue, funnily
NorCal
enough.
versus
But if you're sitting at
SoCal
home, grab
matchup
some
here
popcorn.
today.
You're about to see some magic.
We're going to call up first from NorCal, Zebri Chang. Going up against Zerui from NorCal, Max Park. Did I say NorCal?
I think we need to fire Chris. Sorry, Chris.
So that's what, 3 mistakes, 3 strikes, I'm out? Okay.
Yeah, I think
All
he's
right.
right. 3 strikes, he's out.
So, just so that everyone in the audience is aware, this one will be first to 3 sets as opposed to 2 sets. Other than that, all rules for this grand finals will remain the same. Cubes are now being brought up.
It's the 1 seed versus the 3 seed. Max Park, the perennial powerhouse, versus the upstarts. Zeri Chang, America's next hope. Some are calling him. He's about to be coached by the great Matahiro Inaba this summer, ahead of the North American Championship as part of the Elite Cubing Initiative. We'll be very excited to see what he does there. But for a little sneak peek, you have tuned into Western Championship. Manu Singh Hall and Chris Yen on the mic. This is the grand final. Best of 5 sets will win the Western Champion title.
3,
and
2,
win the competition
1, go.
overall. Max Park, Zerui Chang, who's going to come out on top. Green cross is the choice for both of these color-neutral solvers, and it's Zerui who will draw first blood, 5.77. He's got that fire in him still.
Zerui takes the first solve, 5.77.
Yeah, and it's another Olo
versus
skip there for Zerui,
8.09.
but another GC perm. That could have derailed any advantage he got from the Olo skip, but he manages to execute it very well that time. That was a really fast F2L. And for Max, very uncharacteristic mistakes there in the last layer, getting an 8-second solve. I don't remember the last time I saw Max get an 8-second solve.
Right. I mean, we keep talking about how consistent of a
As a reminder
solver
to how
Max
strong
Park
the
is.
geographical rivalry is. How many of you are from SoCal?
Yeah, you can hear the SoCal
many of you are from
representation. Of course,
NorCal?
we're here. Oh, the NorCal crowd is pretty
We'll
strong
just
too. So that's awesome.
Of course
All right,
it was
Chris,
Shane.
let's get down to brass tacks.
Everyone boo
Who do you
for
got
Shane.
in this one?
Honestly, I think Zerui has a really good chance. Obviously, he just won the first solve, so I guess I'm taking a bit of recency bias here. But he was solving so well after the first set that he dropped in the first round. He's absolutely been solving better in terms of times than Max was in his rounds as well. So I do think Zerui has the chance here. But of course, Max is such a seasoned veteran when it comes to this stuff that it's hard to ever bet against him. But this might be the most hopeful I've been for a bit of an upset here in a while.
3,
We were talking about
2,
mistakes, right?
1.
And
Go.
Max made a mistake in the first one. I have a feeling that is probably the only mistake we're going to see from him in this final. I mean, look at this solve here, Chris. I mean, it's just picture perfect. 524. He is
Max
back in it.
takes solve number 2, 5.24.
Yeah,
versus
wow. I thought that Zerui's solve was
6.21.
pretty perfect in its own right, but Max also flexing his muscles here. He knows how to find the great solutions as well, and he definitely found it there. Obviously, the turning is exactly what we've come to expect from him, but the fluidity is just unbelievable there.
And yeah, I mean, Zuri wasn't too far behind there. Nice little J-perm to wrap things up. We're tied 1-1.
All right, audience members.
This is
another
gonna
survey
be
question
this
to
is gonna
keep
be
you all
crazy,
awake. Shout
Chris.
out your
I
favorite
actually
event.
I'm like so excited. This is so hype.
Yeah, and the storylines are all over the place. It's who's going to be the new Western champion. Can Max keep defending his title for so long? It's NorCal versus SoCal. It's Master versus Apprentice. It's old versus new. Like, who is going to come out on top? I'm also extremely excited to see how the rest of these solves are going to go.
Contenders, are you ready?
All right, let's go to solve number 3. Solve number 3 is the pivotal solve when you're tied at 1-1. Because it is the one that will give you the advantage going into the remainder of the 2 solves, should it get there. I
Set.
mean, it's basically turned
Start.
into a first to two at this point. I mean, you just eliminate the first two solves.
8 seconds.
Very exciting that we have two color neutral
3,
solvers as well.
2,
Now,
1,
Max and Zaruri
go.
do have some ZBLL capabilities, but not known for being ZB solvers. Wow, just Max is turning. The way he accelerated through that solve was insane.
Max
He's
takes
up
the
2 to
third
1.
solve, 5.77 versus 6.55.
Yeah, and Max, I think this is the third time that he's gotten this specific Ola with just the two flipped edges, and that's really advantageous when you're a CFOP solver because you can predict exactly what your next pair, or excuse me, what your PLL is going to be very, very easily.
Looks like he almost predicted that he was going to go into the A-perm, or so almost canceled it, I should say. Half cancel, perhaps, if you will. 2 to 1, Max Park advantage in the first set of the grand final.
As the unbiased announcer, I hate all WCA events equally.
So we're turning this into a comedy club, huh?
All right, competitors, solve number 4. Are you ready?
Max doing a couple extra turns here. Wants to warm up. He has a, I would say, a pretty sizable advantage. 2 solves to 1 is pretty notable.
Set. Start.
And with his level of consistency at such a high level as well,
8 seconds.
you have to think he is the favorite to
3,
win this set.
2, 1.
Because
go.
Zaruri prove us wrong. Different cross-color selections for the color-neutral solvers. Zaruri's actually ahead a little bit. Can he close it out? Oh, a +2 from Max. A +2 from Max is going to be the difference there.
6.72 versus 6.73.
6.72. Zaruri's back in it.
The +2 wouldn't have even mattered because Zaruri pulled that out by 1/100th of a second.
Oh,
really
right. Yeah,
interesting there.
yeah, of course, yeah. Oh, whoops.
Zaruri had an end perm and he was still able to pull it out. Also, really uncharacteristic mistake there by Max. We're not used to seeing him +2
There we go.
or DNF.
At least one.
But you know, when the single matters and you're rushing to finish, those mistakes can come out more.
The pace of play is different in head-to-head, right? Like when you solve normally, you can decide like when you're going to start the solve, when you're going to, I mean, it's just all under control, right? When you finish inspection, etc. But here, everything is timed by an external factor.
All right, solve
and
number 5.
I bet that totally throws
Fastest
off some
successful
cadences.
solve
I wonder how much
takes the
of
set.
how much practice
Competitors, are you ready?
head-to-head Max did ahead of Western champs.
And I know for me, when I was competing in this, it was really hard for me to kind of get in my own mindset when the countdown started to start
Set.
the timer.
Begin.
Solve number 5, the deciding solve of this set.
8
Max had a solve to give. He's given that
3,
away now.
2, 1.
Winner of this one
go.
takes a large advantage in this final. Orange cross for Zaruri. Green for Max. He is ahead by quite a margin. 5:23, a great solve. Will
And
seal
Max
the
wins
first
the solve
set.
and takes the set 5.23 versus 6.75.
You know, for Zarui here, I mean, 6.75 was his worst time of this set, so that's a little bit positive when your worst solve is 6.7. Obviously, it's not enough to beat Max, but the way he's solving again is so far and away better than what he was doing in his first round that he dropped when he dropped the set. But of course, for Max, 5.23,
As we get ourselves
very,
ready
very
for
good
the
stuff from him.
second
We
set.
can expect to see more of that in the later sets as well.
It's been a long day for both competitors. We started the day off with 3x3 round 2, and we're ending it here with 3x3 round 4, the head-to-head. The first time we're holding head-to-head here at the Western Championship. Who knows if it will be the last time. It's very exciting. Glad that we can participate in this great experiment by the WCA. It's given us a couple of amazing moments already. Max up 1 set to none in grand
Start.
finals. kind of as the chalk would predict, except
8 seconds.
maybe not in the fashion that
3,
you might expect.
2,
Same orientation for
1,
both solvers.
Go.
Looks like Zuri kind of locked up a little bit, whereas Max's turning is, commentators curse a little bit. It was fluid until it wasn't. Zuri stopped the timer with a +2. He would have won the solve otherwise.
Max takes it 7.15.
And once again, you
versus
cannot afford to +2 when the
after a
single
+2
matters.
penalty on
It looked like
Zeruri.
there his left index got a little bit caught up on the U layer when he was trying to push to finish that last U move off of the F perm. So it's a little understandable. That's a difficult AUF to execute, at least in the grand scheme of all PLO AUFs, but definitely one that you can't afford to do in this scenario, especially when Max is sending a pretty big message here with good solves to kind of silence the doubters.
I do feel like it's a little uncharacteristic of Max to get a 7. Not very common. We don't usually see that from Max. So, and again, Zuri lost the last set, yes, but he lost it 3-2. I mean, it wouldn't have been that crazy for him to just win that set, and it would be a completely different story in this grand final.
Yeah, maybe this format is getting into the head of both competitors just a little bit. So I have a feeling we'll have a pretty excited reaction for both of them. Even for whoever loses, they'll probably have a big sigh of relief to kind of be over this new format. It can take a large toll on you mentally.
Yeah, certainly, especially since the quarterfinals were also best of 3, which is a bit longer. Same orientation once again for the 2 color neutral solvers. Zuri this time with some good turning. Ooh, right up until the end of F2O. Max is going to stop the timer first. Yep, and he will have 5.65 to take the point.
Yep, and it was just a very Max solve there. I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. Very fluid turning, really good F2L solution, really, really clean. So that's exactly what we want from Max.
Yeah, I feel like Zuri's there looking at the replay. I mean, he started off really, really, really well, but he just lost it just a little bit. And I feel like that could have been obviously not exactly the difference maker because the difference was over a second in the end. But even like if you make a little bit of mistake, kind of recovering from that, especially in a 3x3 setting, I think can be a little bit tough. It's easy to say, oh, just turn through the lockups, but once you've locked up a little bit, you know, it kind of changes your finger plyometrics is what I've heard people call it. That's just a fancy word to just say how your fingers twitch. And of course, very important in Rubik's Cube solving to make sure your fingers are twitching in exactly the right way you need them to.
Set. Start.
2-0 for Max Park over Zuri Cheng. Zuri has won a set down 2-0 before in a reverse sweep.
2, 1, go.
Will this be another one for him? Well, a 5-second solve from both competitors. Max is going to win the set 3-0.
Sweep in the set.
No doubt.
Versus 5.48.
It was a really good solve from both of them. You can see there's a really easy extended cross on white here. The block is pretty much made, and just solving the cross normally is going to give you an extended cross. Zerui had a chance here with a really nice last layer, but Max just turned flawlessly through his solution. And a 5.1, he is up 2-0. This is going to be really, really tough for Zerui to come back from this.
I mean, Zuri himself is even applauding for Max, which is awesome. For him to come from behind and win this, he would need to reverse sweep in sets. I don't know if that's ever been done in the history of WCA head-to-head. Of course, I mean, just based on his solving, Zuri clearly is capable of doing such a thing now. Is he capable of doing that against Max Park? A little bit of a different question.
Competitors, are you ready?
Seems like ever since we got that 7-second solve from Max that he's turned back his A game on.
Set. Begin.
And, you know, that kind of speaks to the pretty critical error that Zuri ended up making. That +2, you know, he could have been up 1 solve to
8
nothing.
seconds.
And instead it ended up being
3,
a clean
2,
sweep.
1.
Same orientation once again. Nice little pickup from Zuri. Looks like he lost it a little bit, but he's looking fluid. And the final time, 6.25. We got a 6.25 here at
Zuri
Western
gets there with a
Champs.
6.25 versus 8.61.
The legendary 6.25 time. This was a great solve from Zurui once again. And it looked like they had very, very similar starts, at least up to the first pair. Zurui doing a bit of a fancy EOZB there. And he's able to pull it out with a good execution of the V-perm. That's really hard to do under pressure.
So this is something that Lucas and I were actually talking about earlier. So he had an L, right? And when you have L, there are two different 8 movers that you can do. You can use the left-handed one or the right-handed one, right? And both times Zuri has elected to do the left-handed solution for that OLL. And he's gotten diag twice. Now avoiding this is pretty straightforward. You just do U prime and then do the right-handed version. You got any insight there, Chris, as to like why you would choose to do something that seems worse?
I think when you get really, really fast, you care so much about fluidity that you're willing to sacrifice potentially a better solution for a pause. So even though he's saving time, or even though he would save time by avoiding the diag swap, he knows that he can predict fully every single time by using the theoretically less optimal algorithm.
Yeah, certainly very interesting. I wonder if that's something that he's going to potentially work on a little bit. We got different orientations. That means we're going to do different solutions for the two solvers. Nice turning from Zuri. Can he clean this up for a win over Max? Oh, Max got stuck there at the last several turns. Zarui's up 2-0 on this third set.
Yeah, and there you go again. He's using the same algorithm for that L or peanut case. This time, I think it is the optimal option between the two because it gave him a really, really nice PLL. And for Max, just a bit of a fumble there at the end. I don't think it would have mattered because Zuri's time was pretty good. But again, for Max, he has multiple sets to give here. So I think a lot of the pressure is off, and we'll see if he's able to put it away sometime soon.
Yeah, certainly possible. I mean, if you're Max, like it doesn't even matter if you lose this set. To be honest, Max is not really like a momentum solver. At least as far as I've ever known Max, he's just been cool, calm, collected. You see the similar types of solutions from Max. Now, a 6-6 is a little bit different. You know, we don't see a lot of high sixes from Max. So maybe, you know, he's doing a lot more solving certainly than he's ever done in a final round before. So maybe that's playing into a little bit of cube fatigue potentially.
I do agree that Max is not really a momentum solver. He's ultra consistent.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Kind of feels like neither competitor really got the orientation that they wanted. Maybe this scramble just didn't really have the juice. Oh, it clearly did. Zarui has a clean swept Max 5.06.
And he got a PLL skip there. You know, similar fortune to Max, who's gotten that 2-flip OLL multiple times throughout this bracket. Zurui gets the other 2-flip OLL, and this time with a PLL skip, similar to Max earlier in the competition. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the best OLL skips you can get. No AUF as well.
Yeah, wow. Wow. HOLL into the skip. I mean, it looked like he had some margin still. So, like, I mean, J-Perm would have been probably okay too. But of course, that's got to feel good for Zerui. Coming into this final, he didn't have a single solve under 6 seconds. I think at least that's what he told me. And he's gotten multiple in this head-to-head final now, so he's got to feel good about that.
Yeah, and a bit of a morale boost for him to be able to at least take a set and not get swept here.
And against the great Max Park, right? The greatest speed cuber of his generation, certainly, if not of all time. I mean, yeah, Zuri, take a bow. Worst case, you're getting second place at Western Championship, right? That's incredible.
All right.
Yeah, he's already had such a great performance.
Of the 4th set. Competitors, are you ready?
And you know, in his last head-to-head, out early, upset pretty
Set.
badly. He was the second seed,
Begin.
lost to the 7th seed. Not really what you want to see. Wasn't particularly pleased with that. And to come back in such a fashion.
8
Third seed, make a
seconds.
big upset against Dylan Miller.
Three,
Trying to come back against Max
2,
Park.
1.
Take a Bowser
Go.
regardless of what happens here. Both competitors turning quite well. Let's see what the final time is. Ooh, it's going to be Max by 0.2 seconds.
Max squeaking by with a victory from that solve.
Yeah, and that was definitely a solve that
6.64
Zaruri could have
versus
taken. Max had a pretty
6.83.
big hesitation on the OLL. I think he thought it was the other case that looks pretty similar here. You'll see right here he does, yeah, he starts to do the lefty fat soon, but instead
All right, everyone,
does the
let's
correct
do another
one.
survey question.
So yeah, I mean, Zuri, despite the score, Zuri has life. And if he is to take this set, Chris, we go to a winner-take-all final set. Winner-take-all. So what is all here? Not just the win on the competition, the win of the round. Not just the win of the purse, perhaps the most coveted item you win by, if you were to win this grand final, the title of Western champion. You get your name in the history book. You all have seen the ads all the weekend. Your name could be on those ads, Zuri, if you can complete the comeback here and one more set after that. Getting a bit ahead of ourselves. We
Set.
are in set number 4.
Start.
The score is 1-0 in favor of Max Park. But it's
8
been
seconds.
pretty close so far in this grand
3,
final.
2.
Can the third
1,
seed Zuri
go.
continue his charge? Blue cross for both competitors here. A little bit of a lockup for Zuri. Can he finish the solve stronger? Will Max take this one? I think it's Max here. It is a 6.48 to 7.08.
Second solve, 6.48 versus 7.08.
They both ended up with the same PLO there. Max's execution was a lot better, and now all of a sudden Max
This grand finals is getting
has
pretty
multiple
close. Are
match
you
points
guys
here.
hyped up for this?
Not just match points, but championship points for Max. Like we said, he's won every single one of the Western Championship titles so far.
At least one other
And he's
Western
only
sets before?
one solve away. So close
How
is
does
Max
this one compare to the
to
others?
his 8th, 9th, I've lost count at this point, Western champion titles. What an amazing solver is Max Park. How lucky we are to be in the presence of the greatest speedcuber potentially of all time. For Max, this is the first tournament point, and surely he will be looking to make it the last tournament point. For Zuri, he needs a clean sweep to stay alive in this match. Let's see which of those two options
Set.
we get here, which of those two
Begin.
universes we are going to live in. This solve is for the Western champion title.
8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
And it's different solutions for both of them. Zuri starting off with an M2. Max looking solid here. He's on PLO. I think Max got this. Max has got this. And that will be the final solve of a Western Championship
Max.
2026. It's Max Park.
Max
Of
takes
course, it's Max Park with a
5.89
5.89 second solve. And he will
takes the set.
win
He takes the
Westerns
match. He
2026
takes the
here in
grand
Riverside, California.
finals.
Unbelievable first or last solve
A
from Max
large
here.
round
Zaruri
of
was
applause
flying
to
at the
our
start of this, but
finalists, Zuri
once
Chang
again,
and, of
Max,
course,
take about
Max Park.
you're the Western champion once again. Number 9, I believe, in just the long list of accomplishments for one of
All
the
right,
greatest
everyone, thank you for
cubers
coming to our
we've ever
head-to-head.
witnessed.
Max is just inevitable. Just inevitable. An amazing solver all around. He was pushed to his limits, but he bent but didn't break. He prevailed in the end to win another Western champion title over a very, very, very talented Zuri Chang, who certainly tested him solve after solve, even clean sweeping him in the third set. But it's just wow. There's really nothing else you can say here. Chris, Any thoughts for the audience as we wrap up another spectacular head-to-head finals?
I think it was great solving from Zerui. He definitely gave us a lot to cheer for, and good to see him once again redeem himself from previous head-to-head matchups. But of course, for Max Park, I mean, what else is there to say? You know, like nine Western Championship titles. He collected a bunch more this weekend in other events as well. So for Max, of course, it's going to be Max. It's always been Max. He's the best in the West once again. So big congratulations to him.
You know the meme, nothing ever happens? Yeah, here it's Max Park always happens, perhaps. Oh, man. Chris, we have seen another spectacular Western Championship this year on Memorial Day weekend. It's been very, very, very special sharing it with you all. Thank you all to all the viewers. We will do a final thank you to all of the sponsors of Western Championship. It's been fantastic working with you all, and thank you for your cooperation in making this amazing event possible. It's just been fantastic. Chris, final words before we sign off here.
Congratulations, Max. Congratulations to all the competitors that were able to make the trip down to Riverside, and looking forward to next year.
Looking forward to next year. Bigger and better is always our hope. This has been the largest official WCA competition in the state of California. It is on track to be the third largest competition in the Western Hemisphere this year, behind just the North American Championship and the South American Championship. It has been our title championship here in the West region. 17 regional champions crowned across 17 official events, and it all ends right here with a fantastic head-to-head final. Max Park does it once again here in Riverside, California, to win the Western Championship. It's been a magical 3 days of competition, 2 days of live streaming here with you all across all of our channels, the WCC channel, the CubersLive channel, the SpeedCubeShop channel, and the SpeedCubingTV channel. Hey, we had a lot less problems today on the stream, and yeah, very grateful for that. Hope you all enjoyed. But for the organization team of Western Champs 2026, for the production team, CubersLive, myself, Lucas Aben, and Kaushik Murugan, for for Chris Yen, my co-commentator, and all the other fantastic commentators you heard this Memorial Day weekend, it's Manu. We are signing off. We hope to see you at the next Westerns, and so long and good night, everybody.